Rockets. Hello and welcome in to episode 71 of Two Man Game with Damon and Dom. I'm Damon, that's Dom, and you are the listener. Before we get into it today, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, on Spotify. Make sure you leave 5 stars, and with either platform, share, and share some more. We have a surprise later for you this episode. We have a special guest, our first ever, if you don't count Mason's dog Junior, when Dom was dog sitting him, and you heard his barks in the background. Aside from that, this will be the only other person to make an appearance on this podcast, but that comes later. First, we got to get down to business. Dom, how are you?
What up? I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. I went to two Clippers games last week. I
That's a
saw
lot.
them play the Pistons, and then I also saw them play the Kings, Sacramento Kings, and that was a overtime buzzer beater by Kawhi. So I saw a buzzer beater, which was
Yeah,
pretty
it was
sick.
a crazy little hook shot, a little left-handed, bounced
Yeah.
around, whole thing.
It's for whatever reason when Kawhi Leonard does a buzzer beater, it always bounces around the rim. It
Can
can't
never
just
can
go
never be
in.
smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, but
What's
no,
up with that guy?
what is up with that? But it was a good time. Did not get to meet Jonas Valanciunas or Domantas Sabonis. Sabonis was not there traveling with the team,
Boo.
and Valanciunas was too busy, like in warm-ups. I think they were trying to like get him ready because he's starting and everything. So didn't want him distracted by. There was like 120 Lithuanians there. Did I send you the picture? I can't remember.
Of all the Lithuanians?
Yeah,
No.
I got a picture. I'll send it to you. I remember
Were
telling
you
you
in the
like.
picture?
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember
Okay.
telling you everyone here looks so Lithuanian, and you're like,
Yes.
"Why?" It's like, I can't wait to send it to you. She'd be like, "That looks like a big group of Lithuanians right there." But it was fun. I had a good time, and it was a Sunday, so like I gotta like relax a bit, just come home and stuff. But it's been good. We had a gig Monday for the band. We released a new song. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it,
I have listened
and
many times.
I know you have, and I really do appreciate it. And I remember I sent you. So we're a big Maroon 5. We're big Maroon 5 guys.
Oh
Us
yeah.
two.
This is a
Have
Maroon
to.
5 duo.
Makes Me Wonder is one of the best songs of all time. And I didn't when I sent I was
So good.
listening to it. I was listening to it and I sent it to you, but it wasn't even related to my song. And I was like, "Oh, I forgot I had that like little I dropped the name of the album that Makes Me
Yeah.
Wonder on in the lyrics because I like wanted to. I don't
It's a
even
good
remember
it's
why.
a great song. Um
Yeah.
Maroon 5 probably has at least like 10 bangers, and then they have
I
like 20 songs that are god awful and I can't listen to them.
Yeah, it's every now and then definitely one of those bands. But that is how I've been doing. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Very excited. Tomorrow, I only work 4 hours, and it's the last day prior to spring break. So I will have a week off here next week in March, and I need it. This week was tough. Probably the
Yeah,
toughest week of the school year. Just that time of the year, all the students are getting all crazy. I think everyone kind of needed this break coming up. So happy for that. Happy to have some time off. I don't think I really have any plans, particularly. Probably just like relaxing and regaining my sanity is kind of the agenda.
that's good.
Um,
That's very good.
yeah. And aside from that, that's been taking up most of my time. I literally just come home and I'm like so exhausted that normally I can come home, just get on the computer, play games or sit down and watch something. Literally every day this week I've come home and I'm like, I need to take a second to just like breathe and exist because that's how like crazy work has been. So yeah, that's kind of how this week has been for me.
hmm
Um, we have 3 weeks until our student staff basketball game again,
Yeah, I was
our
gonna ask about
rematch.
that. Nice.
And I'm sure we could talk a little bit about that with our guests later as well. So yeah, other than that, it's good. It's all good. Everything is dandy. I did send you that text yesterday. There was a murder in my apartment complex.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Just to get a text from your apartment complex, like you might have noticed that the cops were here and there was a casualty. You're like, what the
Yeah, I,
Jesus.
I looked into it. Apparently, there was a guy at like midnight or so. People were breaking into his car, and he tried to stop them from breaking into his car, and then they shot him.
Oh my God.
And the guy apparently worked for InfoWars. So just like random string of
Super
events.
random. What the heck?
Like because I told somebody at work like about it, and they were like, "Oh, like the InfoWars guy," and I was like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." And they were like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
like this is," and they're like, "Oh, you live there?" And I was like, "Yeah, that is my apartment." Okay. Um, so yeah, it was a little wacky, a little wild. Kind of threw me off, you know.
of course. I mean, that's where you're supposed to feel safe. It's like your
Right.
home, you know? So that's crazy. I'm sorry, man.
No,
Well,
no. I mean, I'm fine.
I know I'm glad and
Obviously.
I'm very glad you are, but it's just, it messes with your psyche, when something so close like that happens,
Yeah.
Crazy.
Um, but yeah, aside from that, we're cruising. I'm ready for tomorrow to be over. Girl
Yeah,
practice some basketball over the break. Um, and we're getting close to playoffs, and that's really exciting too. So
dude, I'm so excited. I wish I could I wish I had a spring break. I don't get a spring break, and I would love
mhm,
to just like go play basketball.
mhm.
But I am going to New York next week. I forgot to mention that. So,
Yes, that's big.
I may or may not be going to a Knicks game. I have not
Pod
decided.
from New York, live pod from the phone.
Live from New York, it's two-man game with Damon and Dom.
You're like walking to the street. It's like all you hear is the fucking wind, just like.
Yeah, it's all just clipping. It's just
This is
silence.
awesome.
It's just you basically muting me because you're like, I'm just gonna have to do the pod without him. He's just like walking in Midtown for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, glad you're safe, dude. Can't wait for you to get spring
Thanks.
break, play some basketball.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
yeah, I'll be back. I think I told you I'm gonna be back in May. We're gonna go
Yeah.
hoop for sure.
Oh yeah.
That'll be
We're gonna
sick.
cook.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be cooking. We're gonna take videos too of you just scoring
Oh,
all
we need
day.
to upload that one video. I totally
I know.
forgot.
I'll just post it.
I forgot it existed. Um,
It's a fun one.
all right. Let's get
Anyways,
into it,
I
shall
guess
we?
let's talk about some
Let's
news.
dive in.
All right. Well, I mentioned New York, so I guess I'll take the first one. The New York Knicks signed PJ Tucker to a 10-day contract. He was recently released by the Raptors after being kind of floated around the
Throw it
NBA.
around at the
So
deadline.
Knicks signed PJ Tucker. Um, yeah, I don't really know what to think of that. I mean, Jalen Brunson's out. We're going to talk about that, but that doesn't really help them for that. I guess
Probably
they
just
just
like a
a
locker
wing.
room culture guy,
Yeah, which
I
I mean,
imagine.
he definitely has that. So, hopefully he's able to contribute a bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Another 10-day contract worth mentioning, Pelicans signing Mo Bamba. So he was on the Clippers, and then I think he was on their G League team. And the Pelicans just kind of picked him up from there to kind of have a standard contract rather than, I think, like whatever he was on before for the Clippers. They've been playing Yves Missy pretty much as their starting
Yeah.
center all year, who has actually been pretty good for them, but they haven't had, the deepest big man rotation. So might as well just see if Mo Bamba can give you anything. Former fifth overall pick, UT legend. Can't forget. There's a song called Mo Bamba by Sheck West that is pretty popular. It has nothing to do with Mo Bamba, but it's called Mo Bamba.
Oh, I didn't
It's
even
a
know
song
that.
like yeah, I'm guaranteed that you've heard. Like you
Oh,
know the song.
I'm sure I have. Um,
Um, yeah.
yeah.
So
I'll,
so
I'll
so random.
I'll give it a spin. I'll give it a spin.
Yeah, give it a little listen, a little twirl.
Exactly, one of these days. What was I gonna? I like that for the Pelicans because I think he's stretch five. Mo Bamba's a good basketball player. He's a good NBA player. So I kind of like the opportunity for him on the Pelicans, and especially since they are buying into Zion, they're like he's going to be our guy.
He's actually looked
Um,
pretty good lately.
yeah,
The
he looks
Zion guy.
exactly. So when the Pelicans are healthy, it's crazy. It's like they're good. Crazy, who would have thought? When they don't lose eight of their rotation
I mean, they
players.
still got a lot of guys out.
Oh no, no, I know. Yeah, yeah, but it's a little bit better at least.
Yeah.
The Jazz have been fined $100,000 for violating the player participation policy, and this is in regard to Lauri Markkanen missing multiple games lately. And this is, I think it goes to the tanking as well. They're trying
Yeah.
to prevent teams from tanking and losing on purpose, and you're having your best player sitting out if there's no
Ah,
good
he's sorry.
reason.
He's just want to play today. I don't
Uh,
know.
his stomach
Uh,
hurts, I guess.
he got a
So
little
you don't.
cramp in his foot. Can't go out there today. Sorry about that.
Yeah, yeah. That doesn't sound very good. Give me $100,000. Like, okay, you got us.
Give me that money right now.
Interesting.
Right in Adam Silver's pockets.
He's like, ha ha, that's mine. So I just love imagining he like pulls out a top hat and a cane. He goes, ha ha, $100,000 richer.
In other news that I wanted to talk about, I didn't even bother typing it all out, but some Southwest Airlines news. That's what we want to hear about,
I mean,
right?
I know what I don't know how this relates to the NBA, but I can't wait. Keep
It's
going.
you're gonna love it.
I can't wait.
So Southwest Airlines now charges people for bringing bags on to their plane.
Yeah,
Typically, it was you get a carry-on and a blah blah blah, a personal item.
yeah.
So you get
Two
like
free
two
bags.
things.
Hmm.
Now they're charging you. Um, Inflation, that's how it works. They made a post on social media, and the post was, "It's not like we traded Luca," and then like the eyeballs emoji. So, in response to the
You're
backlash
kidding. You're joking. Oh my
for
God.
charging people for bags, they referenced, "We didn't trade Luca. You can't be that mad. Like, come on."
That's so funny because Southwest Airlines is also it's they're from Texas. I
Right.
don't remember if it's Dallas, but it might be San Antonio or something like that, or
Yeah.
Houston even, whatever. That's so funny that everyone knows this or like everyone understood that, you know? Like that's crazy. Okay, that is pretty funny. Thank you for
Yeah, of
telling me that.
course.
Can't believe I missed that.
So
Um,
good.
not as funny, but a pretty cool thing happened. Nikola Jokic. Hey, what's great? This guy keeps breaking records.
Naturally.
Nikola Jokic became the first player in NBA history to have a 30-20-20 game, finishing with 31 points, 22 assists, and 21 rebounds in an overtime victory against the Suns on Friday, March 7th. My first reaction was, we've never had a 30-20-20 game before.
Lots of 20, 20, 20, but
Yeah,
the 30, I mean, when you have 20 assists, how are you also scoring that many points, I guess, is the thing.
that means he at least was responsible for at least like 70,
At least
doing the math,
100,
73
right?
points. Well, I'm saying like, every assist is 2 points. So it's
Mhm.
44. So 44 plus 31 is 74. So he's
Oh, I see.
responsible for
Yeah,
like 74 points. And I mean, I probably a lot of those are threes. So it's like probably more. But that is insane. That's an insane stat to have. Overtime helps for sure, but
yeah. Yeah.
still, the game had to go to overtime, and yeah, you're supposed to stop that.
I
Crazy.
mean, I gotta say it again. The guy's won 3 MVPs in the last 4 years, and this might be his best season in the last 5 years.
Again, man, I say it every time. I'm not gonna say it
Not
this
not
time
saying
though.
he should win MVP, but
No, no, no. I know. No, look. I think he should win this year. He shouldn't have won last
uh,
year. I'm gonna say it every
uh,
time.
he
I
should have
say it
won when Embiid won, probably
probably. Yeah,
3 in a row.
probably. Yeah,
But they
yeah.
didn't want to give him 3 in a row. But yeah,
Recency bias, and they're gonna give it to him this year. Not recency bias. Like, just give it to the player who deserves it, anyways.
he's awesome. Uh, Last bit of news before we dive into injuries. Steph Curry has accepted a role with his alma mater at Davidson, where he went to college, as an assistant general manager for basketball operations. This is the first active player, and I wrote Big Four history. That means basketball, football, hockey, baseball, the Big Four American sports that we play here, to take on this kind of administrative role for an NCAA team. So first person to ever do it while they're still in, their respective pro sports league.
Yeah, how is he supposed to? I mean, the NBA takes up so much
I
time.
don't know. I imagine he's
Yeah.
not actually doing anything. Maybe in the off season, that's kind of when he kind of
Yeah.
going. But I mean, if you say, hey, random high schooler, Steph Curry is like our, assistant general manager. Okay, um,
Yeah.
maybe I should go there.
I
And
mean,
I
maybe
mean,
he's,
it's not a big school either.
yeah, it's probably a part of him like wanting to transition into after the NBA. I mean, he's like 36 now. Like or 30, I think he's 36. Don't quote me on that. But he's getting there. He's like trying to maybe thinking about what he wants to do after his career's over. Maybe this is his first like dip into looking into that. Do you know where Davidson is?
Nope,
I don't know either.
couldn't tell
I
you.
was curious
My
about that.
guess wants to say Maryland. I don't know why. Let's see.
All right, look at it. And while you look it up, I'm gonna say I think so tonight. The Kings and the Warriors are gonna play, and I think there's another record. I think he's about to break 4,000 made threes.
That makes a lot of sense. It's in North Carolina. Um,
Yep, that makes
Makes
sense.
a lot of sense because he lived there for a long time.
That does make a lot of sense. But yeah, I think tonight he's just a couple 3-pointers away from breaking 4,000 made
Yes,
three-pointers.
yes, I did see
Um,
that on today's NBA.com trivia.
there you go. But yes, just wanted to throw that on the news as well. Um, but you know what? It wouldn't be a pod without talking about injuries.
Woo! That's the best part.
Yeah, so Paul George, the guy who's supposed to turn around the 76ers, dude, they lost bad to the Raptors
They look
yesterday.
horrible.
Abysmal, abysmal. Paul George is consulting with doctors about possible procedures for his knee and groin injuries and may have surgery next week.
Awesome.
So your two stars are just like our knees are like
Our
broken
knees don't work
beyond
anymore.
repair. Yeah, it's like can I get like the Middleton and get other people's knees real quick? Or is it ankles?
Mm,
Do you remember what
his ankles. I think both of his ankles were broken. Yeah.
that would have been cool. Or was Lonzo? Didn't he get like two knees
Lonzo
replaced?
had got like a whole other guy's knee,
Yeah, he
like
got
a
like
knee
a whole
transplant.
lower body transported onto his lower body. Yeah, so yeah, Paul George, I mean he was already shut down for the season, I thought, right? Or no. I know he
Paul
shut down the
George.
podcast.
He shut down the podcast so he could try to focus on basketball, and now he might get shut down in basketball too.
Dude, I haven't seen him play basketball. I've watched 76ers here and there. I haven't seen him play at all.
I mean, he's not good when he does play either.
Yeah,
It's
what
been
is
tough. That contract,
interesting.
remember we were like
Mm.
76ers, they won the offseason. Maybe we were wrong. We were wrong.
Maybe we're judging on the facts presented to us, and maybe Paul George should be better.
I mean,
I'm gonna
also
say
the
it. I'm gonna say
Embiid
it.
thing and all that stuff too certainly doesn't help.
No, absolutely not.
I sent this to you, this screenshot that I thought was pretty funny. Kristaps Porzingis dealing with an unknown viral illness and is I wrote out indefinitely because we don't really know his timetable for return.
Yeah.
But his social media post said something like, "Hey guys, just want to let y'all know my doctors have been trying to, I've been dealing with this unidentified virus that's like killing me, and my doctors are trying to help me, and hopefully I'll come back soon." It was just like out of
What
nowhere.
what in God's name could that be? That
Yeah.
this is a
My doctors
millionaire.
don't know what it is.
Yeah. And this is a guy getting the best help in the
Right.
world. And
Like
they're like,
the best doctors.
I don't know. COVID 25? I don't know. You're like, what the heck? That's great. That was crazy. And I didn't even realize he hasn't been playing. I totally went over my head.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
just
they have
do
so
not
many
watch.
good guys over there.
Yeah, I just do not watch the Celtics either.
Luke
So,
Cornett, baby. We don't need
um,
Kristaps Porzingis.
we got the other goat. Talking about goats, Jalen Brunson. I watched this live. It happened against the Lakers. Suffered
Hmm.
a right ankle sprain and will miss multiple weeks for the Knicks. It's tough. He's their clutch player. When they were playing the
It's probably
Lakers,
in the running for that award for sure.
yeah, when they were playing the Lakers, they went to overtime. He scored the Knicks' first 8 points,
Wow.
and then once he went out, they had nothing. And Cat's doing what he can for sure, but he's just not that guy, you know?
Hmm.
So it's really unfortunate for the Knicks. I hope he comes back sooner rather than later. Thankfully, it's just a sprain. Doesn't seem like it should be anything worse. And hopefully he'll be back and ready for the playoffs because Knicks are still good. They'll stay afloat without him, but you hate to see that. It's for such a good player too.
Yeah. We listen to Numbers on the Board, formerly known as Through the Wire.
Hmm.
And Pierre is like a big Knicks fan.
Hmm.
And he was talking about how Um, like Tom Thibodeau doesn't coach anymore. He just like gives Jalen Brunson the ball and is like figure it out. And they've been trying to do the same thing with Miles McBride, and it hasn't been working. Um,
Yeah.
maybe run some plays every now and then. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you watch basketball. This is going to be a little bit of a tangent. When you watch basketball, do you try and figure out plays that they're running, or do you just kind of? I try sometimes, but I'm curious how your viewing
Not really. I
experiences.
mean, like when I'm watching, I'm just kind of taking in what's going on. I feel like, I mean, so often it just feels like whatever play it is, it's gonna originate as some sort of pick and roll action.
Yeah,
And then, whether it's a pick and roll for the person with the ball to try to drive or shoot, or it's like an off ball pick and roll to try to get a shooter open. I feel like those are the things I see more often than anything else.
yeah.
Um, And it never seems like something super complicated because I know there are plays that like involve multiple screens and this and that, but I feel like modern NBA is relatively fast paced and the plays are pretty simple.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. That's exactly what I've noticed too. I when I try to notice plays, I just kind of realize it's a lot of the same actions, but they're happening in different parts of the court. Like someone sets a slip screen down low
Mhm.
so a shooter can get around that to the elbow and then you throw it and then, it's a lot more of that than like, all right, set up 21 or like I really when we were playing like learning basketball, I feel like where it's just very set up and you need to get to your spots. But
Mhm.
um doesn't mean I don't enjoy it. I was just curious. Because you
Basketball's too
mentioned
simple
like
now.
that's it's true. I'm done. Pot over.
Okay.
Oh.
In more injury news, Mr. Olivier Maxence Prosper for the Dallas Mavericks suffered a ligament damage in his right wrist. Is out for the season for the Mavs. More Mavs injury woes, unfortunately, and it doesn't end there.
Yeah, you know who else is out for the Mavericks? Kyrie Irving tore his ACL in his left knee and will be out for the remainder of the season for the Mavs.
That
Um,
sucks.
one of I it is if not the worst, one of the worst injuries to experience and the pain that you feel. Many basketball players have talked about it. Many sports uh, professionals have said that it's just like I've broken ribs, I've broken arms, but like tearing that ACL is the just no, not ACL. I'm thinking, is it the Achilles? Is that different than the ACL?
They are different. You do tear both of them.
Okay, gotcha. I was thinking of the Achilles. That's what I was thinking of.
Both of them, they're difficult because they're like muscle injuries that cause you to have to like relearn basic things like how to walk properly and stuff like that when you're an athlete. Um, so much of what you do is based in your legs. So just getting like the basics of walking, running, cutting, like if you're a running back in the NFL, you gotta stop real quick to juke, for example. So like injuries that are taking place right there are like super big because not only do you have to relearn like the not relearn, but get back to using the moves and stuff, just like your basic motor functions are severely affected. So it takes a long time to kind of get back to that place because you've been training up so long to kind of make that repeatable. So you kind of have to start back from step one.
Yeah, and also is that you're never really as quick as you were before.
Yeah,
It's
for
just
sure.
and that's just happens whenever you tear any ligament or muscle. It's just tough to get it exactly to where it was. It'll always
Hmm.
when I mean, I broke my left pinky will never be the same, and it's just how it
I
is.
witnessed that. I was
Yeah,
there.
that was crazy.
Dom had a
But
Kobe Bryant moment. Pulled,
I
put his finger back into place. It was gross.
yeah, but anyway, it's just hate to hear for the Mavericks fans most of all, and obviously I hope Kyrie Irving gets well soon. Even though he tore his ACL, he did go back out there and shoot those two free throws, which I
Looked
have
painful.
the most respect for any player and he made them. The most respect for any player who was able to do that after such a bad injury. But he made it look like I honestly thought it wasn't that bad, you know?
Yeah.
Like it so he's a great athlete. Hopefully he comes back sooner than later. The Mavericks are now just trying to stay
Next season.
afloat. Next season, yeah. Hopefully he's back for next season. We'll see.
Speaking of next season, De'Aaron Fox is having season-ending surgery for tendon damage in his left pinky. Apparently, this is something that he suffered at training camp and has kind of played through all season. With the recent decision, or not decision, I guess, with the recent diagnosis of Wemby's blood clot, the Spurs seem to basically just be like, okay, you know what? It's not our year. Let's go ahead and have this surgery for Fox now, so he can start his recovery earlier, and then next season, come training camp, theoretically, him, Wemby, and the rest of their team is ready for that season. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. I didn't even realize that that was happening, so that's unfortunate. But hopefully he's just able to. I was kind of looking forward. Obviously this year without Wemby, they're not going to make a playoff push, but at least Fox could get familiar with his new teammates and build chemistry. But I guess it just has to wait for the training camp. And that's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
They got two really great young players. They have time, they'll figure it out.
We
Um,
believe.
Now on to Lakers news, Lakers updates. This
Uh-oh,
is gonna be
it's
fun.
Lakers time.
Whoa! Everyone strap in. It's Lakers time.
Put your seatbelt on. If you're
Yeah,
listening to this while driving, your seatbelt better already have
it
been
better
on.
be on. Put
It
that
better
seatbelt
it had
on.
been on this whole time, I hope.
If it's not on, I'm gonna wait 1 second for you to put it on. Okay, thank you. So,
That,
here we go. That was like half a second.
yeah,
I
I
didn't
was
want a
like,
second of silence.
you just immediately said, okay, that's 1 second now.
So Lakers currently are they actually just lost to the Bucks. So they're now 40 and 24, and I believe now fifth in the West. Rockets are fourth in the West,
Ooh.
which just happened. LeBron James got a groin injury, and I can't, was it against the Knicks or against the Celtics? I think it was the Knicks.
I think it was the next two, yeah.
Yeah, because he didn't play against the Celtics. So he's going to be out for about 1 to 2 weeks. And during this time, the Lakers are on a 6 game road trip.
Mhm.
And they're playing on this 6 game road trip, they're playing four back-to-backs,
Naturally.
naturally. And they also, yeah, they're out without LeBron James. They're out without Rui Hachimura, without Jackson Hayes. So you're getting Alex Len out there. You're getting Christian Coloco. You're getting Jordan Goodwin. More minutes like that. You had Markieff Morris out there, who I talked about, I think, right before the pod started when I was watching the game. They got Markieff Morris out there, which I never thought I'd see him on a basketball court again,
It's a huge
except
W.
huge dub. Happy for him, I guess. But
Lakers legend.
absolutely, he
Is he
wants it.
back to 88?
Yes, thank God.
Awesome.
Yeah, at least that much. He's not like 38. I'm like, who the hell? What the hell is that? Um, but yeah, so LeBron James is out. Gonna have to try and stay afloat, but it doesn't help when we lost to the Celtics, which is fine. It was without who we had, it was a close enough game. I'm not mad how they played. We did lose to the Nets, and that one was tough. It was a tough loss. I did not watch a lot of it. I listened to a lot of it, but what I did watch, um, I don't understand. I realized something when I went to these Clippers games and after watching these Lakers games. Being a basketball referee is the hardest job.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
Like the hardest sport to referee in for
Mm.
sure. Maybe that or soccer because they're so confrontational. Like in
Mhm.
football, you're never gonna have a player come up to you and like it's always like they're off on their, doing their own thing. In basketball, it is so confrontational. So
Come on, man. Oh,
literally,
where's my
yeah,
oh.
you didn't hear that? You didn't hear that? Here, I'll show you. It's just
All while
like
you're
it's
still trying to pay attention to what's actually going on because there's still basketball. Because basketball, like you said, it's live constantly.
yeah.
Um, the football, it's like
So
even if people complaining, it's like a dead play. No one cares anymore.
exactly, and they'll take their time if they need to. But so it really seemed it was crazy. It really the Nets got to the line like I think 35 times. Lakers went to the line like 15. I
Mhm.
mean, it was a huge disparity in that kind of stuff, and it almost kind of seemed like it was rigged in a way. But I'm not gonna, the Nets for whatever reason. Keon Johnson, the game before, made 1 point. Against the Lakers, he scored 18, and then the game after, he scored 1 point. So
Very good.
whatever it is. But it is fine. It is fine. The Nets played a good game. They won. All good. They did out hustle the Lakers, so it'll probably come down to that. But
The team
now,
last episode, I was like, this team doesn't even have players.
yeah, and now like, oh, they found people, I guess, to win. But yeah, on this road trip for the Lakers, they're playing the Bucks again next
Tough.
week. They're playing the Warriors, the Suns, and I think one more kind of tough team. The Nets was like the only team that was like, okay, you got to win this one.
Right.
So, we'll see what happens. Right now, it is like, I mean, before this game, Rockets were fifth, Lakers were fourth. Now it's flipped,
Yes,
and
sir.
now right below that, I think are the not the Clippers.
I think it's the
Uh,
Warriors now, maybe?
I think it's the Warriors. You're right. It
Yeah.
is the Warriors. But if they win two more games, then they'll be four. And then like it's just so easy to slip from like they were
And then
two,
the Nuggets and
literally.
Grizzlies
Yeah,
are at 2 and 3, and they're like
yeah,
2 games above. Like it's all right there. The Thunder are like
yeah.
10 games above everyone else.
Yeah, so it is, and then Timberwolves are making a surge right now. Kings are trying to, but they're kind of living in that play-in. Suns are trying to make it to the play-in. Right now, they're the 11th seed. Isn't
The
that
Suns
crazy?
look so bad. They look
They,
so bad.
you might. I wonder if you're going to talk about. Well, I watched the Rockets Suns game yesterday.
Mhm.
We'll transition because I'm done with the Lakers talking about it. But did you watch Mason Plumlee tackle Steven Adams?
No, I didn't even know that this happened.
I forgot to text you because I was on the way out the door when I saw
Yeah.
it, but they literally just like locked up and then Mason Plumlee literally just like picked him up and threw him down and like fell right on top of him. And they're just like together, like sandwiched. They weren't throwing punches or anything. They're just like on top of each other. I was like, it was so weird. And they both
I
got ejected.
feel like Steven Adams is not the guy you want to do that to.
He also was like, he's like, dude, like he wasn't trying to pick a
Yeah,
fight.
he's like, whatever, dude.
Dude, whatever. I don't care.
That's like when I go to pick up basketball, and people are like getting physical and stuff. I don't remember if I said this last pod, um, but when I went to practice, we saw like a fight at pickup basketball.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll wait till our guest because he was there too.
Okay, yeah.
We can
That's
talk about it a little bit.
That's some of the dumbest stuff that ever I've ever seen happens on a basketball court. It
Yeah,
is just people just get so worked up on like just keep playing. Who gives?
for
Who
nothing.
cares? Literally, it's just like. Anyways, it's something about the Houston Rockets.
The Rockets, yeah, like you said, 41 and 25, fourth in the West. I had fifth on there, but I didn't realize that the Lakers were in the midst of losing to hand back the fourth seed to us. Thank you. Sad news, though. Amon Thompson going to miss 10 to 14 days due to a left ankle sprain. That is unfortunate. I saw a couple stats I thought were pretty cool, though. This season, he has held opponents to 39% shooting as the contesting defender. That is the lowest percentage in the entire NBA among players that have contested at least 600 shots. So when he guards someone, they are shooting 40%, basically.
I could score on them.
Okay. Um,
I'm kidding. That is a crazy number. I remember seeing not even this low, but I remember Gobert's number was like 43% or something.
I feel like Gobert's number was pretty low, but that was like specifically at the rim. And
Yeah,
it was
no,
like,
yeah,
yeah, at the rim is crazy. Like you're laying the ball up or dunking.
yeah. But
Um,
I mean, this is still incredible. Like
yeah,
that's
it's a great
yeah.
number. Also, the only player in the NBA to have at least 75 steals and 75 blocks. So could make an appearance on an All NBA defensive team if all things, if he comes back and meets the games played requirement and all that. We'll see. Tari Eason has been starting instead of Jabari, which I think is interesting. So it was Fred VanVleet, Amon Thompson, Dylan Brooks,
J-
Jalen Green, and Şengün. And then since Amon Thompson's been out, they have plugged Tari Eason in the starting lineup, and Jabari is still coming off the bench. So I think that's kind of interesting. It looks like maybe he passed him up in the kind of rotation, but he still plays a lot. Like Jabari still plays like 30 minutes off the bench. He's just kind of playing as like a six man, which is strange.
Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of like that because you're getting you have two defensive players on
Yeah.
your like in your starting lineup with Eason and Brooks, which
Jabari's a good defender too.
yeah, no, but it's almost like def Jabari and is a good defender, but he's a better offensive player than Tari Eason for
For
sure.
sure.
So
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we want to have that come off the bench instead of just another defender.
Yeah.
And
Makes sense.
yeah, I think things will change. I don't mind that for them, but.
Yeah, and I mean the stretch since our last pod is not really anything to write home about. We played, I think, 5 games, lost the Pacers, and the Pacers have been playing well. Did you see that the Halliburton
Dude, I
four
don't want.
point play falling out of bounds three against the Bucks to win the game? It was crazy.
Also, what foul? Like some of these shots, I don't see any fouls, and they're like
Yeah,
calling it. And on game
made the
deciding
made the
plays,
shot though. He made the shot, which is
no, he
crazy.
made it, which is crazy because it was over Giannis. But also, I'm
Yeah,
like, he didn't get fouled. Should have went to overtime, but whatever.
need
I
that
mean, it was just like the De'Aaron Fox.
need that playoff rematch
Oh my, yeah, that would be sick. Absolutely.
with
I mean, it
everyone
was,
healthy.
of course, yeah. It reminded me of that. Was that Raptors, or was it Pistons versus Kings? When De'Aaron Fox fouled someone, it was a 4 point play, and they ended up
Oh, and
winning.
then like Mike
And then
Brown
Mike
got on.
Brown got
Yeah, yeah,
fired.
yeah. Yes.
Was that
Yes,
Jaden
yes.
Ivey? I feel like it
I
was
think
Jaden.
so. I think
Yeah,
so.
I
I think
think it
you're
was
right.
Pistons. Yeah.
Um,
Anyways,
but
crazy.
yeah, we after that game we have won 4 in a row. Two against the Pelicans, who like whatever they were like two blowout wins because the Pelicans are doing really, really bad this season, even with Zion's good play. And then we played two other like pretty mediocre teams. One of them was the Suns because they're playing really badly right now. Kevin Durant looks like he so not wants to be on that team. And that'll probably happen this offseason. And I don't remember the other game we
Yeah.
played. We played another game that was like an easy victory against like a subpar team. So it was
Yeah.
like 4 wins in a row, but it's not like any of the wins were like, super impressive.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, we beat the Thunder or like we beat the Cavaliers or something like that.
It was the
I was
Magic.
yeah, that
The
makes
Magic that
sense.
have looked god awful.
I mean, they're
84
missing,
points.
yeah,
They can't
not
score the
gonna win
ball.
games that way. And then y'all got coming up, you'll have Dallas, Bulls, 76ers, Magic. I mean, you have a pretty
Win,
good
win,
like
win, win. That's 4 wins
exactly
right there.
exactly. And then you got Heat who are like in the middle of
Win,
something, Nuggets, that'll be a
loss.
good
That's when we
game.
lose.
Um, yeah, then you got Hawks, Jazz, Suns, Lakers. They play the Lakers two more times.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Let's go to a Rockets Lakers game.
You have to come to LA.
Oh, they're in LA.
Ah, yeah, they're in
Both
LA.
of them? Are they like a back to back?
Yes.
Yeah, because
No, no, it's March 31st and April 11th. April 11th, I will be in Coachella, but March 31st, come through.
okay, let me just round up my LA funds.
Okay.
What was that?
Okay, let's do
Like
it.
a cartoon character.
Okay. Sounds good, I
Okay.
guess.
Um, coming up, we have a segment with a guest, the first ever guest. Who is the guest? What's the segment? Oh, you probably know because we probably already talked about it like 2 podcasts ago or last podcast. But if you don't, you'll know in a second. It'll be moments for you. It'll be a little bit longer than that for us. So we'll be back in a second with our guest. All right, welcome back a couple seconds later for you guys, but a little bit longer for us. It's me again, Damon Dom, and with us, the very first guest of Two Man Game. It is Jared, someone we have talked about a lot on this podcast by name. We've mentioned him, we name drop him probably every episode. Biggest Detroit sports fan I know. That's why I'm repping the Lions attire today, as I'm also a Lions fan because my mom is from Detroit. And then Dom has the Rodman Defensive Player of the Year from the Pistons shirt on as well. Jared here with his green Cade Cunningham City jersey. We gotta follow suit with tradition though. Jared, how are you? How are you this evening?
Oh, I'm great. I actually just finished watching Wizards Pistons about an hour ago.
Awesome.
3-1-3 day in Detroit.
Mm.
Second game in a back-to-back against the Wizards. Perfect time to lose by 4. So a little tilted.
That's so
Oh, wait, are you
sad.
serious? You guys lost?
We
Oh
lost.
my
Yeah,
God.
it was bad too. We were down like 7, and then they immediately just kept knocking down threes after the first half. And by the end, we just couldn't stop. We just couldn't stop them. So
Did
tragic,
you
absolutely
guys at
tragic.
least win yesterday?
We beat them the first time soundly. Apparently, they didn't hold the lead the entire first game.
That
So
sounds about right for the
um,
Wizards. Yeah.
I'm waiting for them to release the pregame speech where JB says, "Hey, they need this one." And
We gotta give it to them. Like we've had losing streaks before too. We gotta give them this one win. We've been there.
At this point, you don't want to be that team. But he's not on the Wizards anymore, so I can't even quote Kyle Kuzma.
I was about to say, yeah, I just watched Kyle Kuzma obliterate my Lakers, but we're not talking about the Lakers right now. We're talking about your Pistons.
The Detroit Pistons, yeah. So the reason we wanted to bring Jared on today is because we had an episode, and I actually wanted to pull it up. I wanted to find it, so give me a second to find it. But we had an episode last year when we started this podcast. Um, while I look that up, though, Jared, why don't you tell us about your journey with this podcast and with basketball in general?
yeah, I mean, I would say that my dad played basketball in high school. He loved basketball. I never watched it a ton. I was alive, obviously, for the go into work Pistons. So I was like a Chauncey fan as a little kid, but I really walked away from basketball after being really bad in elementary school. And we just kind of follow on the periphery. But Damon's a big basketball guy. And as we were prepping for the student teacher game last year, I was a little more plugged in on how basketball is actually played. kind of started listening to the podcast to support Damon, and then, by extension, Dom, and have kind of been listening since, gearing back up for our next student teacher game, hoping to score at least 3 points to outdo myself in the last one. So, yeah, I'm honored to be here. Truly, this is surreal for me.
It's great. It's great. Yeah, I think Jared and I's friendship basically started when this podcast started. Because I started it like right when I started working where we work. I don't want to say it, on the podcast if somebody happens to stumble across it, but the school we work at together, is where we met. But the episode I was referring to, episode 21, published January 5th of 2024. Are the 24 Pistons the worst NBA team of all time? Is what that episode was called. Amidst a 28 game losing streak, the tied for the longest in NBA history. That is not the case this season. This season, they have turned it around. They are currently the 6th seed, 37-30, 7 games over. Already doubled their wins from last season, if I'm not mistaken. So as the Detroit fan and more basketball fan than previous, what have you seen that, think has caused this kind of turnaround from that kind of thing that happened last season with the losing streak, and now this season where they look like a pretty formidable Eastern Conference team?
Yeah, I think that there's a few factors. I think one of them being the coach wants to be there, which I don't want to make any unfair assumptions about Monty, but he didn't want to coach. They cut him a massive check. Not great. Veteran leadership feels even bigger than that to me, though. I think guys like Isaiah Stewart are veterans now, and bringing in Hardaway, Harris, and then especially Malik Beasley. They actually had him mic'd up tonight. He's just a huge communicator for the team. He did not want to be traded because he wanted to be with the Pistons, and I think the fans have really responded to that. So there's just a complete vibe shift where early season promise has actually delivered, and the veterans on the team have fostered the culture that's caused some of that winning. So just better vibes. Reminds me a lot of the Lions in their kind of 9-7 turnaround season, for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned the coach. One of the things we're going to do later is trivia. I told you about this today at work that I was going to give you some trivia. One of the trivia questions I had was, who's the current coach? Because I wasn't sure if you knew that, but it sounds like you know that. So I'll cut that question out.
I've watched multiple games the last 2 weeks.
They never talk about the coach, though.
I...
They don't talk about the coach like a lot. Like when you're watching like a broadcast, I feel like, I guess if you're watching like a local broadcast, maybe they talk a little bit more about it.
I read articles, and they're the biggest narrative of the year besides maybe the Cavs. And so, yeah, I'm plugged in.
No, it's a great narrative. And like I mentioned last episode, I didn't want to talk about him because I wanted to do this together as a unit. I wanted to spend a whole episode segment on just the Pistons rather than, part of a 10-team thing. Are there any, aside from the veteran presence you mentioned, any sort of players stick out to you from a game-to-game basis, or because I know you watched last season too, like any growth you've seen from certain guys that have kind of led to this change as well?
Yeah, I wasn't super plugged in last year. I remember reading the names I have now long since forgotten. I think, fortunately for most Pistons fans, no offense to those players, they were being, we reached a point where Asar had the blood clot in his leg, and so it was Cunningham and Ivy, and Killian Hayes was still getting minutes over Ivy at the start of last season, which was boggled the mind. So
yeah, for sure.
The fact that we have so much length, I think, during a lot of what I read last year is, this guy's really raw. And now he makes consistent jaw-dropping defensive plays. I think I texted you one from I think it was the Jazz. It was some team that we obliterated, but it was just constant defensive effort that I can see coming down both sides of the ball. Stewart's really strong defensively, and Asar being back is huge for us. I think that he is grown into his length and is starting to find his playmaking, especially by the bucket. This team's length is a weapon for lobs, offensive rebounds. There would be a lot of misses that would just turn into makes because Jalen Duren would sort of casually reach his arm up and then just put the ball back into the basket as though nothing happened. So those guys have been standing out for sure.
Yeah. You got anything you want to ask Tom? I feel like I've been asking the whole time, so
No, yeah, well, I wanted to add, like the veterans that they added also added that shooting element, and which also has really expanded the game of these younger guys. Like, because Jalen Duren would be stuck down low, and then the centers would stick with them. But now when they'll have if there's like Malik Beasley's on the 3-point line by himself, you're gonna have the center is gonna have to go out there, and then that frees up Jalen Duren or whoever it is. So, that I just wanted to add, like that's also something that I think that those veterans have helped out with a lot.
yeah,
Um,
spacing for
I
sure.
I guess I do want to when you're watching the Pistons because I saw them play the Clippers last week. Unfortunately, it was a loss, but they wore the awesome Bad Boys City jersey, so it wasn't all bad. And I mean, Cade played amazing. Cade Cunningham can't give him praise enough. But is there a player that you are really enjoying watching the most on the Pistons?
It's tough because I do love the defensive guys, and I mean I just love hustle in general. I love when guys chase the ball down like it's the only thing that matters in their entire life. And I think I mean, I really think it goes back to Duran and then Asar also, especially on the perimeter. I feel like perimeter defense is so challenging to put yourself consistently in the right position. And, I saw him just swat a three out of the air in the game today. That's just so cool. The ability to be tall enough and long enough and agile enough to get in the air and take a shot out. To me, it's as a 5'9" king, I could never see myself doing that. And so I don't know. I just think it's so sick. I mean, even like Ron Holland, who is not getting a ton of minutes, is playing hustle basketball. When we were playing the Jazz, we would cover the floor even when they would get fast breaks. Duran would come from behind and get a block off the rim, or Duran would have the turnover and then be playing defense on the same player. It was just, that to me is so energizing, is when guys are playing that hard. So
Yeah, it's beautiful basketball. Like
it is beautiful basketball. It's to me the way it's meant to be played, which is if you're on the court, you're selling your soul out to touch the ball for half a second. That's to me, that's the game. But
yeah, well, it's also
no, go ahead.
please. Well, I was just wanted to say you said Jalen Duren. I thought it was funny before this. Damon asked me my favorite Piston, and I said Jalen Duren, and he said, "Damn, that was my favorite Piston too." So we're all on the same page.
so matching jerseys.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. City
Okay, we can
jerseys.
all you have to agree on which one is the best. If I can get, I guess the city jersey from this year, I think would be a good bet for sure.
Well, hey, well, I have to wait for the sales at the end of the season after they win their championship.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. But no, I was just going to say the Pistons, they remind me of the Rockets in the way that both of our teams seem to be relatively young and just full of athletic freaks. The Thompson twins, of course, we both have one. That's awesome. Ron Holland, I think, kind of fits into that mold, like you mentioned. Ivy, when he was healthy. Cade is kind of the IQ, so to speak, on offense. But even Duran kind of falls into that too. And I think I wanted to ask, have you noticed the pace that the Pistons play with? Is it a fast pace because of like all the athletes they have on their team? Is that kind of something that leads to their success, you think? Because that's what I feel like I notice when I watch the Rockets, is that we're just so fast and so athletic that we just kind of out hustle the other team down the floor half the time.
Stats time. Good. All the
Uh-oh.
research can come out.
Oh,
So first off, to the point of Cade, because I watched the LA game as well. I did not see you in the crowd, unfortunately. If you were at the wall, I don't know if they showed the
oh my
wall.
God.
He was not at the he was
I
so
was-
as
I
far away
can't
as he
I
could be.
can't sit at the wall because you have to if you sit at the wall, you're not allowed to wear any other team's colors or anything besides Clippers.
But
And they
Clippers and
will
Pistons colors are like the same though.
a little different now because it's navy blue and red, and also I
That's true.
was
They did
wearing
rebrand.
this shirt, so I'm like, oh, but Rodman
Yeah.
played for the no, it's I'm not near the wall. Plus, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
But
good.
I noticed that Harden had this ability to take over the game and just it was really like such a one man show. And I got that same impression
This is
from
the
Cade
50
tonight.
point game, right?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Sadly, I feel like when that happens, there's nothing you can do. But to your point about physicality, the way Cade played tonight, I don't think he made a three, but he kept driving to the basket and taking fouls. So he ended up taking, I think, 21 or 22 free throws in this game tonight, which to me, that just feels like he is also willing to be muscle, which was really cool. Um, in terms of their play style, there were a couple of things I noticed. Uh, I was thinking, man, they throw a lot of screens and they actually have the most screen assists in the league. So I think they are a team that kind of likes to set up with a primary ball handler and then have someone kind of shadowing them, either coming back around them that they can be an easy dump off or put up a screen either to take the three or open the lane. They are not a team that is necessarily hustling on their own offensive possessions, but
Hmm.
for points scored, they're fifth in the league in points off turnovers and second on fast break points. So what I've noticed is whenever the defense creates an opportunity, they will streak down the floor and score as fast as possible. Even if that's not necessarily their offensive formula. And I think that's probably because without Ivy, you don't have your true cutter. That was always the reputation I had for him, is he's just freakishly fast.
Hmm.
Um, but whenever they would get a steal or knock the ball loose, whoever had it would just drive to the basket and either jam it, which was excellent, or take the foul and go for a layup. So uh, definitely a little more balanced on offense, I would say, not sprinting down the court, but as soon as they saw an opening, they take it and apparently are one of the best in the league at doing it. So
That makes sense because I feel like Cade is someone that likes to get to the rim if he can. So setting up just some sort of play with Duran as the screener and Cade kind of as the initiator, Beasley, Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway, all these guys that have contributed to the spacing this year. That makes sense for their offense. But it's good to know that they have scored a lot of points in transition and off turnovers too, because getting the easy ones I feel like is important. But I do wonder, do you think like the way that they set up in the half court will have success in the playoffs? I think right now, if I'm not mistaken, they're the sixth seed, so they would play the Knicks in the first round, who are the third seed. Um, which, to be fair, Karl Anthony Towns not the greatest backline center in the league in terms of his defensive capabilities. So do you think that works in a playoff series, or do you think like or do you think they'll rely too much on kind of those points off turnovers, transition points, that they kind of stumble a little bit in the playoffs?
I think it depends on a couple factors. And going back to the Lions comparison, which for true basketball listeners who don't trifle with other sports, the Detroit Lions went from kind of worst to first in the matter of 3 or 4 years, in the sense that they were the number one seed in the NFC last year. In the first season we had with our current coach, I think won 3 games. And a lot of where that started was mindset and effort. And so when I see
Hmm.
that fast break, that turnover, I'm seeing a team that's starting to get those fundamentals and understand how to play winning basketball. But what I feel like is missing for them right now is that sort of superstar level play. And that's what worries me in the playoffs is even if you get past the Knicks, if you end up against a team like the Bucks, I don't think we have an answer for Giannis unless
Hmm.
Cade is consistently playing out of his mind. And so, I think they could steal a series in the playoffs if you don't have great rebounding because we just have so much verticality on both sides of the rim. I think we're actually, I want to say fourth in the league in rebounds total, and fourth in defensive rebounds. So I think if we control the boards, I think that's a pretty good recipe. But if you're up against an MVP type guy, I don't know if we have enough experience playing dedicated defense over a 3, 4, however many game series
Yeah,
to handle something like that. So
well, that's how you get that experience. Teams usually get that first round exit, and then they get that second round exit, and then eventually they make their way there. I will say, for all the praise we've given Durant on this podcast, defense has kind of been a struggle for him in the NBA. Um, Rebounding, good. Screens, good. Verticality, you mentioned. Lob threat, that sort of thing, very good. But he is just kind of skinny, and he's young. He's still like 21. He's still super young.
Yeah.
So maybe if he grows a little more muscle, he can have a little more backline for guys like Giannis, and even Cat is not like a forceful player, but I feel like if he were to back him down, like he can kind of just move Duran around a little bit.
He'll draw fouls too, is a thing,
Yeah.
So he'll just
Yeah,
get
it
into
seemed
foul
like
trouble.
the Wizard. I was on the Wizards broadcast that I legally watched with the permission of the National Basketball Association.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good Wizards broadcasts, famously in Austin, Texas. Makes sense.
Yeah, that website Buff Streams that comes from that's
It's owned
no.
by the NBA. Yeah.
It's officially sanctioned. But they were talking about how near the end of the game, Alex Sarr was chewing Duran up. So it seems like at least the Wizards commentators are on your side. So
Well, that's no surprise. The commentator of the home team is always way too biased.
It was in
kind of
Detroit.
annoying.
We lost in Detroit. Oh, it's terrible.
Did you play in Detroit yesterday too? Or both
We
games
played
in
a
Detroit?
back-to-back against the Wizards in Detroit.
I
But it was
hate-
like 2 days
I
apart, I
hate
think.
that.
Yeah, it was.
That's crazy. That's the same team in the same that's like who wants to go see that twice? Like that's crazy.
It's so much fun the first time. Let's see the sequel.
I mean, like
And then they
we've
lose,
complained
you're like,
about.
oh, man. Yeah.
We've complained about on this podcast that when teams do this, like the Spurs and Rockets played those two games
Yeah.
in San Antonio very early in the season, and I didn't have a chance to go that weekend, so I just missed my window of opportunity, and now I have not seen it. So-
If I could give a most valuable take as a podcast fan, I think that the
Sure.
discussion of how ridiculous the NBA scheduling is has really resonated with me as someone
Thank
who
you.
wants to
Thank
watch more
you.
basketball. But then I look at my week and I'm like, oh, let me plan around. Okay, there's a Saturday and a Sunday, and then there's a Tuesday, and one of them starts at 6 p.m. and the other one starts at 9:30. And it's just like impossible to create a routine.
And
Yeah.
on one day there's like 3 other games, and on the other day there's like 12 other games. It's like, okay.
It's so ridiculous.
Awesome.
If they just had each team, if it was even just one dedicated day, like the Pistons will always play on Saturday and the rest, is for the dogs, whatever. I don't care. I'm not going to watch 3 games a week, most likely, but just give me one day that I can plan around, and I will try to have it on a screen somewhere. So frustrating.
So maybe
Yeah.
that's your favorite take for me, and your favorite take for Dom is the name below the number.
I think that's one of the most important takes, not just about the NBA, but I think about society at large,
Just
is that
sports
number
fandom.
over name is heinous.
and
And-
why? Why would a number mean more than anyone's name ever?
Who's like, man, I really am curious who's wearing number 4. So let me go look for the number 4, and then I'll collect that second piece of information.
Like I care more about the number than exactly. It's just yeah, you know what? There's a reason why you're our friend. So we appreciate that.
Proudly wrapping a
Um,
name over number jersey.
Yeah, always.
I'll burn any opposites that I see. If there's a number over the name, it goes up in flame. That's my
If
freedom.
I will never wear a jersey with the unless like look, if I am in a league of like other 20, 30-year-olds, my name's under the number, I'm like, okay, I'm not a professional. But if it's a professional sport, why would it not be above the number? It's crazy.
I
It
think
never
there
looks
should
better.
there should be a podcast bet between the two of you at the start of the season on like some factor, and whoever loses it has to buy and wear the number over the
Oh,
name.
that's a good one. That's a good
one.
one.
But I will say it's a good one also because the good news is I don't have to look at the back of the jersey. If I'm wearing it, I don't have to be looking at it. So not that bad, but I will want to burn my back the entire time.
I will be
So-
sad that I spent like $80 on a jersey I don't like.
Exactly.
That'll be the bad part. While we're talking about this, Jared, I don't know if this is a one-time appearance. But I was thinking earlier, how often could we have guests on the podcast? Maybe Jared would be a perfect guest for next year's city jersey rankings to get that third opinion, that tiebreaker opinion in there in case we have any, controversial takes or anything like that.
That would be fun. Because we sometimes do like I really like a jersey and you're like, this is terrible. And like we gotta figure this out.
Yeah, I was driving pretty unsafely when I was listening to the most
No.
recent because I had to be like, okay, what is this ugly thing that we're all upset about? So I would have to like peek at my phone. Horns blaring. I'm like, hang on, what did the Hawks do with the trim? I gotta know. So yeah, I mean, I would be honored. I would truly, one of my favorite pieces of auditory content in the world, to engage would be divine.
It
Right.
is honestly, I do look forward to that every year. It's only the second year we've done it, and I'm like, I just love like dissecting jerseys and just looking at how they look and
Yeah,
talking
we're
about
Summer
it.
summer content. You could do like a look back, like a historic city jersey
You
review.
could, yeah. That's actually a really good idea.
best
Like over the
jerseys of
off
all
season,
time.
that's also a sick one too. I would love to do that. I remember I did see a article, I think I sent it to you, like 10 worst jerseys of all time. And
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, they're missing so many terrible
So
jerseys.
many bad ones.
Um, I did want to ask a little bit about okay, so Pistons are doing great, this year, maybe first round exit, maybe they'll win the first series, probably second series exit, like best case scenario. Um, Trade deadline, they got Dennis Schroeder. I want to hear your thoughts on like you've been watching a lot of Pistons. What are your thoughts on him?
Seems like the goal for Schroeder, because he typically comes out with the second wave. I think the hope was maybe that he added a little more shooting, but it seems like he's kind of that secondary guy to bring the ball down, bring some veteran defense. To me, I don't see like, oh yeah, we're building around Schroeder. I don't think
Oh,
that he's meant to be a top five guy for us, but I think to me he gives the impression of kind of a give you a little bit of everything. He'll play solid defense. He'll handle the ball when Cade's not on the floor. Um, and occasionally he'll get hot. I think it was maybe it was our first game against the Wizards, but I feel like he was helping close that out with some clutch shooting. So um, if we're talking real trade pickups, Lindy Waters is just dynamite every time he
You
touches the
look so
floor.
surprised.
And I'm being partly sarcastic. I'm being mostly sarcastic, but in the like
okay.
10 combined minutes of Lindy Waters ball I've seen, I think he's made 4 or 5 threes, which I mean, I haven't looked at the numbers, but it's probably sixth on the team at this point. So you know, I just had to get my Lindy Waters love in there.
It's fair. It's a fair.
No, yeah, I mean, I remember I watched him on the Warriors and he came out and he would get some threes. Like he's a good player. Absolutely, and he's young too. It's so funny. I'll never forget. I texted Damon this, and this podcast, all love, respect every basketball player that plays professionally. I could never do it. But I remember texting Damon, I was like, this guy's ugly. I was like, Lindy Waters is not a good looking person. And then Damon was like, yes, actually, someone told me he's like really attractive. I was like, what? What is happening right now?
No, it was one of those, horrible like TikTok street interviews, and they asked this woman who was her celebrity crush, and she said Lindy Waters the third.
I
I
didn't
think I
okay,
remember seeing this. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I was like,
that's actually
what?
crazy. So you have someone's celebrity crush on your team, which is pretty sick. I gotta say.
Yeah, that's thank goodness too. I mean, it was,
Whew, what would we do
I
without him?
think I think most attractive rosters, I don't want to encourage being, mean or petty, but
Okay.
I'd love to, what's the tier list in y'all's eyes? Yeah, that's the
Who's the
That
ugliest player on the
who's the
Pistons?
oh,
ugliest?
that's so
Who has the
good.
ugliest roster is so funny.
Maybe you just do like a top 10 so you don't offend anybody. Just like keep
Yeah,
it,
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
it
yeah.
it's
Keep it
not
gentle.
quick.
even
Like,
like that's barely basketball
I mean,
related. I
I
love
am thinking
that.
of the Pistons roster, and I can't think of anyone that I'm like, that guy is ugly.
Yeah,
Uh,
except Lindy Waters. Besides that, I mean, like,
I don't remember what he looks like, to be
it's
honest with
not
you.
only his shooting that's hot, that's
Ah,
oh,
thank you,
okay.
thank you.
We got one vote for hot, one vote for not, but it's fine. Um, okay, well, okay, so thank you for, yeah, I was curious because I remember I forgot Schroeder was on there and I was watching the game last week and he came out. I was like, oh, I love Dennis Schroeder. I love what he could do coming off the bench as just like a guard who, like you said, he just puts all the hustle, he puts it all out there, always gives 100%. I also wanted to ask, looking forward, obviously, Cade Cunningham he's your all-star, you know.
Mhm.
Um, what do you kind of want to see more of? Is it more of like this core you're building around getting a few more veterans who can shoot the ball? Is it about getting a superstar? would you want to see your Detroit Pistons do next year?
Um, there's been some talk on I think Pistons Reddit. There
I knew you
was
were
an
going to say
interview.
Pistons Reddit. As soon as you said there's been some talk, I was like, this is going right to Reddit.
Yes, grimly, that's whenever I Google Detroit Pistons, and then I just scroll down and see what's happening. A lot of Reddit takes, and there was talk about this KD interview where he's like, "Yeah, I want to go on like something up and coming. I'm not trying to build another super team." All respect to Kevin Durant, one of the best players ever to do it. I don't want to add stars that aren't on our timeline. That for me is the biggest thing. I don't like teams that sell out to build around guys who are nearing the end of their careers or aren't on the timeline of their main core. I think it can really work if you have a guy who, I don't know, how old is Donovan Mitchell? Do you know off the dome?
Like
Is he like
28.
28?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I remember that trade for Cleveland, which obviously they're doing well. Of course, former home of JB Bickerstaff, which I knew.
Sorry.
And I think if there was a guy who came loose who was, mid to late 20s who was really gifted, maybe we should have called about Luca, I guess. We've already got Cade, so that would be redundant. But
Yeah.
I otherwise for me, it's really build through the draft, identify what the guys you have aren't fully capable of, and then just get those complementary pieces. Because I think when you're building a team's culture and you don't honor the players who are building that culture, you start to lose it. So guys like Isaiah Stewart have been talked about as trade candidates for a long time. I know the Lakers wanted to call
How many
about
players
Duran
can't
potentially.
he fight?
Yeah, well, I remember hearing about the Lakers calling for Duran. I'm like, no way the Pistons should ever give up Duran. But then I was also like, no way the Mavericks should have given up Luca. I was like, can Magic
Well,
strike
those are
twice?
two different conversations.
Oh no,
Uh,
100%, but also two very unlikely scenarios.
Yeah.
And one happened. So
Yeah,
lightning
that's
won't
very
strike
true.
twice. Yeah.
I was crestfallen when the Mark Andrews trade went through, by the way. That
Mark Andrews
Self
is an
true.
NFL tight end.
Okay, thank
Who
you.
am I? Who's the guy who
Mark
was
Williams.
for Mark Williams? I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm
is that
sorry,
what
Mark,
you're talking about?
Mark
Okay.
Williams. Mark Williams. That's who I meant. You are so right. But yes, I was sad when Charlotte Hornets center. See, I know things. Mark Williams when that didn't go through. That was a shame. But yeah, no, I would say I think Asar feels untouchable. Duran feels untouchable. Cade is definitely untouchable. And beyond that, keep the guys who want to be there. Keep Beasley and let the youth work. Let the youth work. If there's someone who comes loose who's 27 years old and is a shooting guard who can just drain threes like there's no tomorrow, great. Otherwise, I respect who's there. But
Yeah,
that's just-
I was sorry, go ahead.
I just have I have a last question to add on that, your answer. You didn't mention Jaden Ivey. So is he so is
He's injured. He
the
doesn't exist.
no, yeah, exactly. He doesn't. No, so I mean, the Pistons right now are doing a lot of this without him. So is that indicative of like, oh, you know what? If I had to let go like one of the younger core, I think he's the kind of odd one out. Because I remember that last year there was a lot of talk, can Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham be a backcourt? And I think they proved that they can be. But they've also had a lot of success without him on the court and Cade on the court at the same time. So what's your take on that?
I was actually Ivy did an interview I think today, and he was talking about Cade was always telling him on the sideline like we're going to be so much better once we get you back. Like we're going to take this to another level once you're healthy. And I what I like about Jaden Ivey, and I haven't seen a ton of his game because he's been injured lately, is his speed and cutting ability. Those things feel like the electric playmaking that we don't see from a lot of the rest of the core guys who are kind of the defensive oriented. I think we're like fifth in the league in like points in the paint, which Ivy would obviously contribute to that. But someone who can close from perimeter shooting into the basket without needing a ton of support, I think that has the potential to be really impactful for this team, to provide them with another dimension and maybe let Cade, because Cade takes the ball up a lot and then does these like floaters, that are 5 feet away. And I'm thinking, if Ivy's out there, so he's just cutting to the basket and making 8 layup attempts a game and doing that maybe a little more effectively. So I think that there's potential for him. That said, with the injuries, with him bizarrely being benched and the way Monty didn't really know how to use him, I'm just not fully confident we know what he can be. And so maybe you sell on him before teams have a chance to figure out whether he can be that guy and try to swindle a team into giving you more than market value. But
Yeah,
if you don't have a blowaway offer, why not see if he can't be that guy?
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah. I like
I was
Jaden Ivey a
curious.
lot.
I was curious, with the team. Obviously, this is a fantastic first season after last season with under new coach JB Bickerstaff. Obviously, I think this is better than most teams, in their first year of not rebuilding. I guess whatever you want to call it, this growth year that's happening. Um, who do you think long term? Let's say 3-4 years from now, if the Pistons are, like one of those teams in the Eastern Conference, like a Bucks or a Cavs or a Celtics, one of those kind of stay teams that we know are going to be difficult in the playoffs. Who do you think is still on this team as a part of that core? And what do you think the ceiling for some of these guys is like? Personally, as a Rockets fan, I don't see a single player on my current roster that I would say is the guy. I feel like we have a lot of secondary, maybe tertiary pieces. I feel like that might be different in your case. But I was just curious in your thoughts on, who that core would be and kind of what you think each player, whether it's the guy, the secondary, the third guy, the fourth guy, a bench player or whatever, where you kind of think their ceiling and on like a championship level contending roster is.
I think Cade to me is just solid, and that's both because you would have to probably trade your way into a player of his caliber, and I don't see a reason to. I don't think there's a massive upgrade at point guard that's so great out there that you would ever deal away Cade. And I also think that this is his first season as an All Star. He's had I think it was his second season in the league. He was out for almost all of the season.
Yeah.
Um, and I also think Asar, for as well as he's playing, I mean, he didn't really have an offseason, right? We had to ramp him up during the season, and he wasn't even cleared to play until I think November. So for me, Cade for sure. I think that I don't see an upgrade at point guard that takes your team higher, especially as I think Cade's just a smart dude. And I think smart players age like fine wine, right? They can create free throws for themselves. They get better at knowing where to distribute all parts of his game. So Cade for sure. I of the other players, I think Asar just is the athletic specimen that he is, and with the defensive capability, I think that I'm thinking about championship teams that have been around, and I think the Warriors jump out as like he's definitely not the same player as Draymond Green, but having that lockdown guy is such an asset, and especially one who's long and can potentially hold up at least in terms of length against maybe bigger players. Beyond that, Duran would be my best guess. I think unfortunately, I see Isaiah Stewart. I see us being outbid by a team that views him as a starter, maybe like a rebuilder. Um, Kind of like the fact that didn't we hand Jeremy Grant a max contract when we were in the doldrums of
Yes, absolutely. Coming off his Nuggets tenure. Yeah.
Yep.
yeah,
It
and
was like
I
a
don't think
2-year, $50 million deal or something.
yeah, I don't think Isaiah Stewart's going to get a max, but I think that I could see a team looking to solidify center, paying him more than we would be willing to pay for a backup.
Right.
And so I think any championship caliber team should have a couple young guys who are able to take on some of the spots in your roster without breaking the bank. But I think that our secondary playmaker and even maybe like our tertiary, like just 3-point bucket getter, right? If you have two people who can really control inside and then the third who's more on the perimeter. Cade is one of them. I think Asar's on the team in some form. I think the other two of those guys probably not, unless you can keep these guys around for cheap. So.
Yeah. So even like Ivy, kind of ran
Sasser.
Duran. Did you say Duran
Yeah, he said
Um,
Jordan would stay. That's what he said.
would stay? Okay.
Duran to me is the most like on the fringe, just because I think if he doesn't become like a truly elite, I think he could still stay if you don't build your offense around the center position as much. But I think it depends on what kind of team you're trying to build around. And I don't know if he's reached his ceiling yet, but Ron Holland maybe, right? I mean, he's 19 years old, so
no idea about that one.
It's quite possible he ages into someone who's a real asset. He does not have a great plus minus right now, but he's a rookie. So
He's a rookie, yeah. And then I watched a few games and I've seen him come out and hasn't been mentioned yet. Marcus Sasser. What are your thoughts on him?
Sasser to me, I'm gonna name a Vanderbilt and Pistons legend, Saban Lee.
Okay.
Just a deep cut.
Nice.
I feel like there are players when you are
Jared went to Vanderbilt, by the way.
That's why.
In case the pod listener doesn't know, Jared went to Vanderbilt University.
Wait, in Nashville?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was born. Have we talked about this?
I don't think we have. I think we've talked. This is the second time we've spoken to one another. So no, we have not. But that is.
Yeah. I wonder if it came up. No, yeah, I was born in Nashville at Vanderbilt University in the hospital there. So
legendary hospital. I've gotten some cardiological work there. They do good stuff. They bring basketball podcasting geniuses into the world. So
they sure do.
But I view Sasser a little bit. Because I'll be honest, I don't know if I've seen Sasser take the floor for more than 4 minutes in the games that I've watched. He, to me, seems like a guy who, when your team is bad and you need someone to look good on a bad team, he's one of those guys that's replacement level, but he'll give you a little more than that. And so you really get behind him like, yeah, I think he's the guy. And then, I think the fact that we traded for Schroeder, right? The fact that Lindy Waters is getting minutes, right? I think this tells a lot about where we view Sasser, but I think that there's a chance that he could be someone for a team. I just don't know if in Bickerstaff's rotation he's the guy. But I liked him last year. I remember thinking we might have had something there. But
it's like one of those players that you like until they play a little too much.
Yeah.
Like, wait a second. Yeah, if you don't mind, guys, I think it's trivia time. I think it's time we throw some Pistons questions at Jared and see how much of a ball fan is he. And these are questions I scrounged off the internet today, so
I have been
they're
grinding
good.
mentally. I've been going over former coaches, former players.
Some of these I've thought about a lot, and like I finally just put it into an idea. Some of these I was like, I need a couple more questions. So we'll see. I shared the list with Dom. I think how I would like to do this, Dom. I think I'll just start with a question, and then you can do a question of your choosing. Some of these are based off the ideas you provided me earlier.
All right.
So yeah, I think we'll just kind of bounce around. I have 11 total questions on here, but we don't. It's not going to go in a particular order. You think you're ready? You think you're cut out? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I also just want to add, if you don't know these, don't feel bad because
It's okay.
I definitely, if you asked me some of the stuff about the Lakers, I wouldn't know. I probably wouldn't know either. So
I definitely don't know some of this about the Rockets. So.
Yeah.
I'm down. I do want to ask y'all a trivia question though.
Oh God.
Over under.
Sure.
5 3-point attempts for Jalen Duren this season.
Under. 2.
I mean, I would probably say under, and I'd say 4.
0. He has not attempted a 3 the entire
season. I was thinking like some half court heaves maybe at the end of quarters.
Yeah.
I was looking at like the shooting percentage, and it was just 0%. Yeah, I was like, all right.
Hey, it can't be. I mean, if you don't attempt it, if you miss all the shots you don't take, right?
He's made every 3 he's taken this season. That's crazy. All 0 of them.
Exactly.
All right, so I'm just gonna grab a question off here, Dom, and then
okay.
You can grab one too. I know there's some on here that apply to you, Jared. This is like one of the first questions I thought of. I don't know why. Obviously, Cade Cunningham. First-time All-Star this year. Can you name the last 3 Detroit Pistons before Cade Cunningham that were named an All-Star?
Do they have to be with the Pistons to be...
With the Pistons. The last Pistons to be named All-Stars, like in a Pistons uniform.
Okay, I'm not going to name them in order. I'm gonna take my best shot at this.
Uh-huh.
I feel fairly confident in two of them. The third one's going to be a total dart throw.
Okay.
I feel like Blake Griffin had to do it 1 year.
Blake Griffin, 2018, 2019. Most recent All-Star, aside from Cade Cunningham. It's a good pull. He was only there for like a little bit, so that's a good pull.
We were talking about his Mondo season today.
Yeah, we were talking about his crazy season. All-NBA third team that season, I think. 8-seeded Pistons, the mighty Pistons.
So All-NBA, that's the one where they have like the 15 total, and they're position-based. So it's not like,
they were
fans voted for 8
position-based, but
guards.
they're not position-based anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. But because the Pistons have not been good for a while, these will be position-based.
Yes.
I feel like Andre Drummond has a shot.
Andre Drummond is the second most recent Piston. I think twice or 3 times he was an All-Star for them. Yeah.
Can you give me the years for Drummond? Because if he's second most recent, that might help me out a little bit.
Yeah, let me pull it up. I was looking at it earlier, but I don't currently have it on me. But these are good pulls. I'm impressed.
I maybe would have gotten Blake Griffin. I doubt I would have got a Drummond, because to me Drummond's just been all over the place at this point.
Drummond is 2017-18, 2015-16. Were his 2 All-Star seasons in a Pistons uniform. If you need, I can give you the year for the next guy if you need some help.
The year would give me something to throw at the wall. Yeah, let's do the year.
Okay, the year that this player made the All-Star game for the Pistons was 2008, 2009.
Interesting.
I will say this. The previous year to this, 2007 to 2008, Chauncey Billups, Richard Hamilton, and Rasheed Wallace all made the All-Star game for the Pistons. This player is none of those players.
Oh, that's tough. Rasheed Wallace.
Can I
not? Okay, so you said Richard Hamilton, right?
This is a hard pull. Let's say this player is definitely not known for his Pistons tenure.
I was literally going to say, I want to give him a hint and say he is very well known for playing for a different franchise.
Yeah.
So here's I know that Allen Iverson played for the Pistons for 1 season, but I thought it was a little earlier in his career than that.
It's Allen Iverson.
Let's go! That's huge. Sorry to max out the mic, but
no, you're good. That was the third most recent All-Star.
Wow, that's tragic. That is so sad.
Yeah. 17 years ago for the Pistons. So
yeah, I saw a stat that was like the Pistons haven't covered a plus 15 or minus 15.5 point spread since like 2006. Like we have not won by more than been favored or won by that much. Like ridiculous. So I can't believe. I honestly, I'm surprised he had the All-Star season with the Pistons. I think that's.
I was surprised too to see.
I looked at that and I was like, I didn't know that. Yeah, that was crazy.
Cool. Good job.
Also didn't talk about the Pistons. They had like their longest win streak since the last championship team this season, like 8 games or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
That was big. Dom, would you like a question from the list?
Yes. Okay. This is something I suggested to Damon. So the Detroit Pistons have retired 11 numbers in the franchise history. How many can you name?
How many players or numbers?
Numbers and the player associated with said number.
Sure. I'll if you say the player, I'll give you the number. Don't guess it's the number.
Here's what I'm going to say. Considering your attitude on numbers over names, that feels a little sadistic. You said 11?
The number means there's 11. There's 11 people, and it ranges.
Can I name at least 3? Is that's the question?
No, just
how many can you name? How many can you? Yeah,
Okay.
Just curious how many of these 11 you can get. I think like 7 of them are pretty gettable.
I've got 3 locked up already. I think.
Let's hear them.
I think that you have to retire Isaiah Thomas's number.
Correct, Isaiah Thomas, number 11. I'll give you the number.
Yeah, do you know what number? That should be right. You know what number he was?
Yeah, you said 11, so I'm going to say 11.
But do you want to?
Did you know what number he was?
Not at all. Not even. 11.
Wow. Okay. That's on me. Okay. But yeah.
Did we retire Lambier's number?
Yes.
We did.
Is that 10? Was he 10?
No.
He was not.
Was he in the teens?
Much higher.
Oh, really? Oh, was he like 90 or something ridiculous?
Not that high.
Lower.
It ends in a 0, though.
Ends with a 0? Was he like 40?
40.
He's 40. Boom.
I'll take that on 3 guesses.
I will say number
Um,
10 is retired.
Number 10 is well, it has to be for that one Allen Iverson. No, I don't even think he was 10. Rasheed Wallace for sure. I think that no is okay.
No, he's not on this
Clarification.
list.
Yeah.
Is Ben Wallace also a Pistons legend? Is that a different person? Is that
That is
who's
that
Ben
is a
Wallace?
different person.
That is a different person.
I knew
Yes.
that one of the Wallaces is like considered one of the best defenders of all time. So if it's not Rasheed, I'm going to say Ben Wallace.
Correct.
Okay.
Do you
know
remember
what,
the
do you know
number?
what number Wallace is?
It's like Grant Hill or something. Is that like the Hill guy?
Not Grant Hill, no. But do you know
No.
Ben Wallace's number? You were
I
correct
thought-
on Ben Wallace.
Was he like 6 or something?
I'll give you a hint. How many fingers am I holding up right now?
I'll say 3. I'll say
Yeah,
Yeah.
three
yeah,
fingers.
number 3.
Three.
Number 3.
Number 3, Grant Hill, no, not a retired number in Pistons lore. I don't think he
Okay.
played long enough or was good long enough.
Yeah.
Injuries.
Okay. I saw on the broadcast they called Cade Timu Grant Hill at the start of the season, so I figured maybe he had legendary status, but
That's a crazy take.
What did
It
they
is-
call him?
they said at the start of the season people were calling him Timu Grant Hill, which he has
What
since
the-
bucked that moniker. But
That is such a
That's bad.
disservice to Cade.
oh, I did want to mention I do want to take a moment at some point to go over some of the nicknames that I showed you in that article, Damon,
Oh,
because that was
so
one of the
bad. Let's do
That was
that
so
after
funny.
Pistons trivia. Let's do that.
Okay, okay, okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay,
Don't let me forget.
Lambier, IT. I got Wallace.
Ben Wallace. Yeah.
Is Hamilton is Hamilton one of them?
He is. What number was he?
Um,
My hint will be Carl Anthony Towns.
13, 12?
You don't know
32.
what number Carl Anthony Towns is.
I read the names because that's the part that's you know
Right.
That's
I
the
learned
part that
tonight
matters.
Cunningham- I'm actually very confident that we retired Chauncey Billups' number because I believe that happened this year, if I'm not mistaken.
It happened very
Uh,
recently.
Yeah, it happened very. So that is correct. Number 5. What number was he?
Oh, I have to know
Come
Chauncey.
This is a Finals MVP we're talking about.
Chauncey Billups is probably my favorite Piston of all time. My favorite number is 5. Let's go 5.
It's
not
not number 5.
It's not 5. It's lower. Let's go lower.
Was he 00? No, Holland is 00, so he can't be. Was he number 1?
Number 1.
Just like
Also
in my
worn
heart.
by legend Reggie Jackson. Can't forget.
Can't forget. I had a Reggie Jackson jersey, and I was like, when I was wearing it, I wore it at the game. I wore it on top of this, and I was like, wait, wasn't Chauncey Billups number 1? Isn't that? I was like, isn't that retired? I was so confused.
Yeah.
Okay, you got 5. You got a few more. I will say, I think the rest. Okay, 1 is a really famous name. The others.
Yeah, one more is pretty gettable, I think. Gettable in terms of Pistons also on the Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer Pistons legend teams.
Give me Dennis Rodman.
Dennis
There you
Rodman.
go.
What number was he?
It's on Dominique's shirt that he showed earlier, by the way.
Look back in your files in your head of my shirt.
I think there's actually a spider on the wall behind you, Dom. I would stand up and.
Oh, really? I can see it in the camera. There we go. I see
Oh,
it.
okay. Well, then I'm glad that
It's also a number that you guessed earlier.
10.
Yeah.
He's 10.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
10. He's 10.
Cool.
And there's another player from that team who then became the GM of the Pistons and then is now like the vice president of the NBA, basically.
I thought that was Lambier. I thought Lambier did that.
No,
Mm-mm.
different Pistons legend who is not white.
Well, I don't. Okay. Different Pistons legend.
Maybe you just don't know this guy.
I gotta let me think. I feel like I would have read about this. Was the microwaves number ever retired? I doubt it, but
Who is the microwave?
he was like our 6th man, and he would come and he was good.
Is he a
What's-
microwave?
What's his name?
His nickname was the microwave because he would bring scoring off the bench if you needed scoring
Yeah.
quickly. You could just heat him up. It was
Oh, his number is retired. It's not the player that I thought of. Vinny Johnson is his name.
Wait, really? I've never even heard of this guy.
I didn't know who that was, to be honest with you. So I was like, who are you talking about? His number is
Okay.
retired. That's not who I was talking about, but number 15, Vinny Johnson. Yeah. That's big.
You tell me who you're talking about, and then I'll feel stupid.
I'm talking about Joe Dumars.
Oh, Dumars. Yeah, of course. I think in my head, Dumars and Lambier. I don't know why I mixed them up. I guess because they're on the same team. But yes, Dumars I should have known. Absolutely.
Should I
My
tell you
dad had
that?
me watch like a Bad Boys documentary back in the day. So
Sounds about right. You
any
want me to
other
tell-
players from like an era I like, are there any other go into work Pistons
No,
or
the other two that I can recognize. Okay, one of them's a coach, so so I don't know if you
Yeah.
would know that. It's the coach of the Bad Boy Pistons, and then the other one is the other two rather are Pistons players from like the 50s and 60s.
I could just start throwing out like, Captain America's name was Steve Rogers. That kind of feels like it'd be 50s. I
Sure,
doubt.
sure.
I doubt that's right. Yeah, I'm trying to think who was the coach of that team. I don't think I know his name off the top of my head.
I'll let Dom take it because this is supposed to be his question. I keep talking.
You're good. It's Chuck Daly.
Chuck Daly. Oh, that's a good name.
The name sounds familiar. Yeah. He is the number 2 is retired, but Cade Cunningham wears it, so it's interesting.
Oh, that's a puzzle. Huh.
Yeah. We got 2 more. Let me just tell it to you because
If they're 50s people, please.
Yeah, they're
I have
old.
limits.
one of the names is super 50s. Okay, the other is Bob Lanier. That
Okay.
makes- Yeah.
Jared's like, great. Don't
Ba-
know what that is.
I mean, one of them's Bill Lambier and one of them's Bob Lanier. I feel like that's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
are they
yeah.
friends? I don't,
Yeah.
What's that? That's okay.
And then the last one is Dave Bing.
Oh, I love Dave Bing. Man, he was
He
a
was my
legendary.
favorite 50s.
Yeah. someone roll the highlights on that guy. That's
It's a tough question. It's a tough
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Dave Bing's got to be the thumbnail for this video. Everyone will click immediately.
black and white photo.
I mean,
Dave Bing.
Player not photographed. There's no record of him.
no, that was a question because I didn't even know which numbers were retired or if the Pistons had any numbers retired or if it was more than like 5. It was like
Yeah.
I didn't know.
You did pretty good, I think. You got a fair
Oh, you
amount
did
there.
great. Yeah, it was great. Take it
Liked it.
away.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with this. The Pistons have won the NBA championship 3 times. Can you name the years that they won the championship in?
Show me 89-90 season.
Correct.
Show me 04-05 season.
Incorrect.
Okay, I'll just keep guessing around that. 05-06 then?
Go in the wrong direction.
Oh, 03-04. Okay.
0304. Yeah.
So I said 89-90 already.
Yeah.
Did we I think we back to back. Did we 90-91 as well?
Wrong direction.
It was at 88-89 then?
88, 89. Yeah. So
Okay,
89,
I'll take that. I'll take
89,
that.
90, 2004. Yeah.
There
pretty
you go.
good.
Good job. Good job. Okay, I'm gonna go to this one. So David asked me my favorite all-time Detroit Piston, and I would have to probably pick Rip Hamilton.
Mm.
Even him and yeah, very similar styles to Kobe. They also played together when they were in high school, like not on the same team, but like they played against each other a lot, so they had a relationship. He was drafted 7th in 1999. What team drafted him?
This is an insidious question. You said
It's like,
Rip
how
Hamilton?
would you ever know this?
Rip Hamilton.
Golly.
I'll tell you this. It's a team we talked about today. It's not the Pistons. It isn't the
That-
Pistons.
If you just had me spinning my wheels for 4 minutes just to be like, I'm gonna say, okay, we've talked about a number of teams today. I'm gonna say maybe the Knicks.
Good guess. It is an Eastern Conference team, but not the Knicks.
Then is it Milwaukee?
Not Milwaukee.
You went from the Atlantic to the Central. There's one more Eastern division you haven't hit. It's in that division.
I don't even know how you memorize. I cannot memorize these divisions.
Yeah,
I'm
you
so
give
lost.
that. So
They're all
just to be clear,
geographically
you thought I
based.
didn't know who JB Bickerstaff was, and you're like, remember the teams by division?
Yeah.
That we
Remember-
talked about today. I'm trying to think, what games did I actually watch? Well, the Clippers are in the West, and so are the Jazz. Was it like the Washington Bullets, or Wizards or whatever.
Close. Yeah,
It was
Wizards.
the
There you go.
Wizards.
Yeah,
It
the
was
Wizards.
just
Weren't they the
Wizards.
Bullets at some point? How did we
in
allow
like the
that?
70s?
They changed their
Long time ago.
name to the Wizards in 92. It's like early 90s. They changed it because I
Okay.
thought it was too violent
It's fair.
of a name.
I agree. I don't think Bullets is a name we
We're the
need. I think
Bullets.
And then the city did a no, it was like during the 90s because the Bulls did play and I remember watching The Last Dance and like Michael Jordan did play against the Bullets. So but yeah, no, Washington Wizards. There you go.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah. I
I'll
I
jump
had
from
almost no
that
shot,
to-
so
I'll jump from that to my question, which is the current Piston. That is probably my favorite, which is Jalen Duren, like we talked about. Um, this is not the actual question. Do you know when or what draft Jalen Duren was in? Like what year?
hang on.
We're hanging.
Pause for station identification.
I'll pause the recording as you say.
Jalen Duren was drafted. So was the draft that happened this year? Is that the 25 draft? That's what they call it. It's like
No,
the
it's the
one that-
24 draft because it was in the year of 24. So the
Oh,
25
that's
draft will
right.
be after
24.
the season.
So he was, I believe, he was the 22 draft.
Was the 22 draft. Nice work. What pick was he in the 2022 draft?
It's weird. I was actually thinking about this today. I, for some reason, felt like you were going to ask me this. I think he was the 10th pick potentially.
You were close. A little higher as in away from the top of the draft.
Was he 12 then?
Oh, you're right there. You're right there, Jim.
Oh, he was 13, wasn't he?
He was 13. Yeah.
Did
13th
we
pick.
trade for that pick from like Charlotte? Is that part
Did
of the lore?
you traded it from Charlotte? Yes, it went from Charlotte to New York to you. Huge. What a huge bonus get right there.
So I had to.
That's massive.
When I get him wrong, I just have to use whatever knowledge
Yeah.
I have to know what's going on.
I feel
if
like
I just
I
kept bricking these questions, all of the other questions about the Pistons would be completely like erased from relevance, right?
You're doing great. We're going all over the place. Some of these are really easy, like I had, do you know who the head coach is? And some of them are like, can you name the 11 retired numbers? So
Yeah.
we're
There's a
going-
range. There's a range.
We're going
Okay.
all over in difficulty.
Just a couple more that we got. Okay, when do you know when and where the team was founded? Not Detroit.
Yikes. Not Detroit.
Close though.
Ish.
Oh, because you said that gives me a few thoughts. First thought could be
Okay.
Grand Rapids.
No, not Grand Rapids.
Could be. I feel like Lansing is just not big
Not
enough.
that close.
Not that close.
Not
yeah.
in the same state close.
Is it Columbus?
No.
No.
I was going to see if you were going the right direction. I don't remember.
You are kind of going the right direction. It is not. It is that way. It's like east.
It's east of. Ooh.
Not east of Columbus, east of Michigan.
Was
Look
it
at this-
like Syracuse, New York, or something ridiculous?
Not that far east.
No.
Still in
no.
the Midwest.
Midwest.
The lake between Michigan and New York, like that's they're one state away technically.
I see.
Big,
I see.
big water enthusiasts out there will
know. Okay.
East. I'm trying to remember my states.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Michigan. Then, isn't it?
I'd be amazed if you get the city.
Wisc-
There's no shot you'll get the city. There's another
Yeah.
NBA team in this state, in the Midwest, near-ish to Michigan.
Was it Indianapolis?
It is Indiana, is the state. There's
Is it
no
like
shot you could-
Lafayette, Indiana, or some ridiculously small town? Napierville?
No, but you're naming a lot of small towns. That's not. Do you want to keep going? Can you guess more towns in Indiana?
I don't even know if Lafayette is in Indiana.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah.
I was going to say Evanston, but that's Illinois. I'm trying to think if there's any other small town in Indiana I can think of, like Urbana, Champaign, or wherever the university is, or whatever. I don't.
Yeah, no,
I don't think
it's.
I got it.
You want me to just tell you? I'll just tell
Yeah,
you.
please.
Fort Wayne.
I could have. Fort Wayne. I knew that. I knew that.
Okay.
Did you actually,
if
Does
Oh,
that
if you-
actually like ring a bell to you?
Yes, it does. I think
Okay.
because I was trying to think. Because it does because I was thinking like I know the Lions started in like Portsmouth, Ohio,
Mm,
but Fort Wayne, I think I've heard of Fort Wayne, and Fort Wayne, Pistons or whatever sounds, you know.
Yeah, well,
it was the Fort Wayne Zollner Pistons. I don't know what that means.
Oh, they're of course, there's legendary Zollner Pistons, and they're
I
they're
see.
and
elite,
they're from Fort Wayne.
they're elite player. What is it? Dave Bing or whatever.
Dave
Yes.
Bing. Yeah, there you go.
Dave Duck Duck Go. It's a
Oh,
search
good. I
engine.
get
It's a
yeah,
search engine joke, guys. It's a search engine joke.
Dave Google.
Ah,
Well, since you know Fort Wayne so well, what were the Pistons founded?
show me 1938.
You're
That's pretty
not
close.
that
That's a good
far
guess.
off.
That's a good guess.
Higher or lower?
Lower, higher. Sorry, higher.
There you had two options, and you said the wrong one.
I'm trying to think. Would people start balling out during World War II? Maybe. Was it 1942?
No, it was right before the U.S. joined the war, I'd say.
Oh shit! As a U.S. history teacher, sorry for the swear. As a U.S. history teacher, I have to know the answer to this question.
What year did the United States join World War II?
If it's not 42, it's got to be 43.
No, it's 41.
Oh, is it 41? Is it really? Oh, yeah.
Well, it's because Pearl Harbor was,
Pearl Harbor. Yeah, I was.
and then 42 is when he did he did the address at the end of 41.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I'm a great history approximator. So I'm sorry. Wait. So the address was at the end of 41. So essentially, at the start of 42, they joined the war. I'm just saying. I feel like
I said it was before.
No, I have to defend my credit as a history teacher. If you're a student of mine and you found this, I just wanted to show you that mistakes are possible and you can still shine like a star. So
Thank you for that shining message right there.
Yeah, good job.
Actually, we have to talk about the title of this episode. Is it like the Pistons turnaround with Jared Schmidt? Like, do I have your your whole government out there, or what do you think, Jay Schmitty? Like, what do you?
well, I mean, my government's out there. If this is the recording and you said it, so
I mean, I guess I can find and cut this very specific part. That I can do that. Our names are plastered on the screen the whole episode.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. I never do.
Are my takes worthy of putting my name on? I mean, I'll stand on game.
I mean, your name will be in the title.
But you just put your first name.
But what you want your name to be in the title is up to you.
You got to put it in all lowercase. You got to stay consistent.
That's bad.
Can we put Jared Bing? Can that be your podcast name?
Jared Bing. Bing's back, baby. Let's
Bing's
go.
back. Bring him back.
Jared actually does a killer Seinfeld impression that students request all the time. So
what? Students know Seinfeld?
I guess. I don't know, man.
That's so funny. Okay, anyways, yeah, Pistons were founded Fort Wayne, Indiana in 1941. What year did they move to Detroit?
These are such specific history questions.
You're a history guy.
Okay, here's what I know. I doubt that Dave Bing played for the team in genuinely Dave Bing Pistons? Is my compass.
Come on.
If he's a retired Pistons legend, I don't know if we would carry the legacy from Fort Wayne. So I'm gonna say 1951.
Not far off, a little bit higher.
How was McCarthyism raging at this time? Let's see if I can
not yet.
I'm out on this. I'm out on I'm like
a little bit more.
A little bit more. 54.
We're inching there. We're inching
50. If we're inching, I'm not close enough yet. So I'll say 56.
One more.
One more.
Inch a little bit more.
I thought about making this multiple choice, but I think this is more fun. I'm enjoying this.
Final answer, 1957.
What is 1957?
Correct. You got it. Hey, I knew you knew it. That means, in 2 years, y'all going to have your 70th or 80th anniversary.
70th.
Yeah.
That'll go
I know
crazy.
math. 70th.
Cool.
That's huge. Okay. We have some quick hitters, but one more kind of longer question before some quick hitters here at the end. How many current Detroit Pistons players' colleges can you name?
Oh, I resent that.
You didn't even send me that. I don't even have that on.
I typed it during this podcast. So
I'm gonna get the craziest poll you've ever seen.
I'm ready.
Pistons legend Paul Reed.
Yeah.
DePaul University.
DePaul University for Paul Reed. That's right. Double Paul. That's a great pool.
I
You,
saw
you
that
know,
and I thought it was funny, and I almost made a note of it, and I was like, that's good.
what about Cade?
Oklahoma State?
Correct. That is
Wow,
correct.
good
I will tell
job.
you this. One other Pistons player currently also went to Oklahoma State. A legend, if you will. A legend sarcastically, I guess. That's more
I'm trying to
accurate.
think. Sarcastic Pistons legend like Lindy Waters III, of course.
That's the one that also went to
I
Oklahoma State.
I think
That's big.
the Lindy Waters III is it might be the greatest Piston of all time.
That
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
getting there for
absolutely.
sure.
I'm trying to think. Oh, I'll give you a little cheeky one.
Okay.
Ron Holland
Yeah.
came straight from one of those like power up G League Gatorade Super Splash teams or whatever they call them.
That the G League Ignite, which no longer exists. They disbanded it. But yes,
That's
he was
also
at the
where
G League.
Asar is from because Asar played with his brother on the Ignite.
Not correct. Not correct. He came from a different basketball league entirely.
But it's not a college.
Not a college, yeah. It was overtime elite.
Oh, I didn't even know those were different. Awesome.
Yeah, overtime elite is like a basketball league in Atlanta, basically.
Gotcha. Okay.
But the G League Ignite was like straight through the NBA, but they have now since disbanded it.
Gotcha. Okay. I feel like one of our players, I'm going to say was Durin, Kentucky.
No, but it's close. It is a school with blue and white, I believe, are their colors, and regionally we're pretty close.
Duke.
No, other way, west,
West.
close-ish to Vanderbilt.
Close-ish to Vanderbilt. I don't know if that's going to bring me any closer to the truth. Unless he went to like Middle Tennessee State University, which I
That
would
is
be,
blue and white, but that's not the school that he went
I would
to.
be
But
stunned.
we're in Tennessee.
Does Kansas wear blue and white? Is it like a Kansas situation?
Kansas does wear blue and white, but we're in Tennessee.
Oh, he went to Memphis.
Went to Memphis Tiger, Jalen Duren. Yeah.
I think I knew that. I've heard that anyway.
I would be amazed if you could get anything else. The thing that made me think of this question is that I knew where Jaden Ivey went to college, which because I watched him in college when we were talking about him earlier. I was like, oh yeah, I remember watching him in college. Yeah.
I also want to throw out there, I only knew where Cade went to college. I have no idea where any of these people. I do not watch college basketball whatsoever.
I don't watch it that much. I think I watched him in the Final Four or something, maybe not the Final Four, but March Madness or whatever.
Dude, I didn't even watch that.
This is a March Madness question. It is March currently.
I think knowing that, I feel like being in Texas, even though he was drafted before then, there's like that greater awareness of Oklahoma sports. And I remember he was orange, like he had the orange thing on his helmet, so that was OSU. God, I'm trying to think if I would know Jaden. You remember seeing Jaden Ivey play in college? I actually know exactly where Jaden Ivey went from. It was my second choice school, black and gold, Purdue.
Yes, the Boilermakers, whatever the hell that mascot is.
Bang! Bang!
That from the recesses of your brain. You're just like, actually, I know.
I know exactly where he came from.
Well, I filed that because I keep my eyes out for Vanderbilt players. I keep my eyes out for Purdue players. So,
so you're a big Zach Edey fan. Okay.
Shout out campus legend Scottie Pippen Jr.
He did go to Vanderbilt, yeah.
Yeah,
Darius
shout
Garland.
out Jared Vanderbilt, who did not go to Vanderbilt and is not me, but we have a lot in common. And shout out to there's another Darius Garland, obviously.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt legend.
Cool. You ready for some quick ones?
Jared went to school with Darius Garland, but he was injured the whole season that he played there.
It's true.
Did you have class with him?
Sadly, no. I mean, he was there for 1 year. I knew people who knew him, but I didn't seek him out.
Gotcha.
Scottie Pippen was also playing there. Junior was playing at the time, but I didn't know him either.
I will say the one more. There's a U of H legend on
Marcus Sasser.
The Marcus Sasser, yeah, on the Pistons roster.
Yep,
that's right.
I think if you said the college, I would have a better chance of like knowing. Oh, that guy went from But
I could throw some colleges out there. I only have a couple more. There's only 4 more, and they're all veteran-ish players. I'll say that. How about Tennessee? Stay in Tennessee. The Vols.
I got to think about our roster.
Volunteers. I had no idea this player went here. I had literally no clue in my brain.
Was it like Tobias Harris or?
Correct. It was Tobias Harris.
Oh, okay, cool.
We're getting
cool.
these guesses. Let's go Michigan. Lions fan, not Wolverines fan, I imagine.
I actually have a guess. I think I know who went to Michigan. I'll keep it to myself.
Wow. He
Was that
knows.
Tim Hardaway Jr.?
It was Tim Hardaway Jr.
Not my guess. I don't know. It goes back to me not knowing anything about college basketball.
Legend. Okay, what about the Florida State Seminoles?
I'm
As we're
trying to think about
dwindling,
Pistons we haven't already named.
yeah, like we're dwindling down. There's not a lot of options left for these last couple.
I have a guess. It's the only one I can think of right now.
Yeah, we're at the point where I would need to like look at the Florida State. I'm trying to think about who's on our second line. Was that Beasley?
Beasley, correct. Last person, Washington.
Oh, that's Beef Stew.
That's beef stew. Yeah. There's other players, but they were like not worth naming.
Yeah, it was, wow.
And like
I can't believe you'd say that about
Fontecchio,
Denise
who
Jenkins.
didn't
Come
go
on.
to college because he's from another country. So
Yeah.
you know,
I
great.
forgot about
You
Simone
did
Fontecchio.
great, Jared. You're doing great with the trivia. Honestly, you're doing better than I thought you would.
I
I'm
feel
not
like we
saying I
gotta
thought
do
you'd
this.
do bad. I think you're doing like really well.
I feel like we got to do this for each of us now because I doubt I know any of this. Okay, here's some quick ones. Here we go. Who leads the franchise in games played
All time.
Franchise in games played all time.
for the Pistons?
I think this might be Lambeer. I feel like he played 18 seasons or something ridiculous.
Who did you get confused with, Bill Lambier? Who's the other?
Joe Dumars.
There you go.
Go, Dom. I just took a really long college one. You can take all these.
Okay, fine. Who leads the franchise in points, assists, and steals?
It's got to be IT, right?
It is IT.
See,
Who leads the franchise in rebounds?
Drummond.
No.
he might be second. Drummond's probably second.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it was going to be Drummond when I looked this question up.
Is this Ben Wallace then?
Not Ben Wallace. Older.
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 Oh, is it the older Wallace? Is it Rasheed Wallace?
No. I meant earlier in the Pistons
The era.
history. The era.
Oh, boy.
Rebounds.
I'm trying to think who's like
Big
an
guy.
Big guy.
all-time-
You ready for the
Manute
biggest
Ball.
hint of all?
Please.
White.
Caucasian.
Is this actually Lambeer? Is that like
This
if
is
we finally come
Lambeer.
around? Okay.
Yeah, we finally got back. Okay. Last question. Who leads the franchise in blocks?
Oh my gosh. This feels like something Rodman would do. I don't know.
Rodman's not a bad.
Didn't play there long enough, probably.
Yeah, not a
Yeah,
bad
I know
guess,
he was
but-
with the Chicago Bulls.
Oh yeah, really? Who?
This player did win 4 Defensive Players of the Year in 5 years.
This is Ben Wallace.
Boom. There you go.
Boom.
We
Boom,
did it.
baby.
Boom, baby.
Is that the last trivia question? Because I do have one more for y'all.
Okay, I'm so ready.
Let's do it.
Which former Pistons player later coached the Vanderbilt Commodores men's basketball team?
Oh God. I have no idea how I would know the answer to this.
Wait.
I need like an era
I
to have a chance.
I have a guess.
Let's hear it, Dom.
Richard Hamilton.
It's not Richard Hamilton. So this was a player who was traded away before our going to work championship season. I believe traded away. Yeah.
Who was on?
That's a
this?
long time ago.
He was like a very good guy for us, and then he left, and his last name is a portmanteau, so it's 2 names put together, 2 objects put together.
Oh man.
What? I don't know.
Once you hear it, it's a good clue. Once you hear
like-
the name, it's a good clue.
Like it's like in a Olivier Max Prosper, right? It's like a something dash something. Is that what you're saying?
There's no dash, so it's just blank, first name, last name, bald. Probably I was in the same room as him. He's probably like 6'10". I think he could like step on me and I'd die.
It's not Grant Hill, right?
Mm-mm.
No, Grant Hill's not that old. Yeah,
If you tap out, that's fine.
I have no idea.
At least I guessed.
I've literally all these clues. I have no clue. No
Yeah.
idea who it
Pistons
is.
legend Jerry Stackhouse.
Jerry
Mm,
Stackhouse. He's
mm.
6'10".
He's
What
I don't
like
the
know. He
hell?
felt tall
he's
to
like
me.
6'6", 6'7".
Yeah, I was
But
gonna say he's like
When you're over 6'4", you could tell me you're 8 feet tall, and I believe you. It doesn't matter.
Jerry
Dude, oh.
Stack Jerry Stackhouse is like a Mavericks legend to me, but I
That's
get
fair.
it.
Yeah, I know he's not like a super long tenured Piston, but he
Yeah,
is, I think.
It's
that
definitely
is
a
that is
player I
cool.
know. So
Yeah, I
it
definitely
was
could have got
gettable,
that.
but
Okay. I didn't
Yeah,
know if it was like deeply unfair.
no,
My
no,
impression
good
was he was
question.
pretty good at his time. So
yeah.
anyway.
It's a good question. Oh,
Oh
you're
man,
trying to say I get it. His last name's Stackhouse, like it's two.
two things put together. Yeah,
That's what you meant. I thought you were saying there was like okay, I
a
got you.
hyphen. That was my bad.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I
You
got
said
it.
no
I just
hyphen.
didn't
I was
know
like,
it.
I don't know what you're talking.
Yeah.
What were we talking about earlier that you said you wanted to talk about?
Nicknames.
Oh,
The nicknames. God, this is such a brilliant article.
Let me hear it.
Let me see. SB Nation bad nicknames. I
if
do
you,
remember
if you
the
want,
one
I can
for
look it up
Cade.
and share. Is that worth, or should we just say them?
I think there's only like 5 or 6 of them.
Let's
So
just say
Okay.
them. That way, it doesn't entice anyone to look at their phone while they
Well,
are listening
that's
to this
so
podcast.
true, though.
This is not as necessary as a city jersey that they have to look at. I have been
I'm
trying.
desperately looking for this article. Give me 1 second.
You're good.
Oh,
Sorry, go
you're
ahead.
good.
I've been trying to find that I think it was the city jersey or maybe it was a statement jersey Pistons, the one where they had the old logo with like the horse and the piston.
The like teal one.
Yeah, I've been trying to find a
Yeah,
Jaden Ivey one of that for forever because it's
Mm.
just like nowhere to be
it's
found
a great
now.
jersey.
That one's so cool. It's like the best one, hands down.
And then I think about the default like blue and red 2D ball Pistons logo. I'm like, where did we go so wrong?
Yeah, no, that one is
That we should rank.
terrible.
We should tier logos at some point.
Tier logos would be
Yeah,
so fun
that'd be
Oh,
good.
it was
because
GQ. Here we go. Got it. I'm
oh,
cooking.
GQ. Okay, here we
Oh,
go.
that's how you know it's official.
Gentlemen's. That's not what it stands for.
I couldn't
Gentleman
tell you what
quotient.
GQ
The gentleman's quality. Yeah. It's
was
like,
never gonna get that.
I just wanted to shout out these legendary nicknames. Apparently the anomaly has taken over for Jason Tatum, and that
I have heard the anomaly. That's really bad.
I hate that.
It's also funny because Jason Tatum is like basically an NPC.
And
So it's
he's
like a
not an
funny nickname
anomaly.
for him,
Yeah, Jesus. Okay.
oh, are they making me start a free trial for this article? I remember half of them, to be honest. I don't remember what players had them, but like I've got these locked in because they were so easy
Okay.
to me.
I actually might know.
I remember one of them being really bad.
There were multiple that were questionable. So for Cade Cunningham, they had the Paradox, which is fine, but when you have the nickname Motorcade, you stick with that every time.
I've never heard Motorcade. That sounds like a local broadcast thing, but that's a great nickname.
Motorcade's already the best.
That's
for
so
sure.
good.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Yeah. Was there Damon? It was Tyrese Halliburton who was the difference, I believe, and you
The
took umbrage
difference.
with that.
Yeah, you could also just call him like Hallie, a little shortened last
Yeah.
name, I think
The
works.
difference is a little
The
long.
the one that really stuck out to me that I remember when Jared showed me this was Bam. Bam Adebayo. His nickname was the Onomatopoeia because
That's-
Bam. And that is bad. That is really bad. Why would you ever want to say, oh, look, it's the Onomatopoeia? Just say Bam.
Just say bam.
Bam
I was-
is a nickname.
I
His
was
name
gonna.
is his name's Idris.
I was gonna say if anything, call him Bam Bam.
Or Bam,
Like Bam Bam. You go Bam 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 Bam. Like
Bam
why would
Slam,
you
thank you, ma'am.
Oh, the onomatopoeia. All right, look at that.
Can you guess who was the Outback outlier?
I remember this.
Someone who's Australian.
Yeah.
Patty Mills.
It's not Patty Mills.
Crazy if he's having a great season this season on a new team after being traded.
He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA right now.
I don't
Is he-
think Dom would know that.
Is he an Aussie?
He's an Aussie.
It's not Dyson Daniels. Was he on the national
Are
team?
you sure it's not?
It is.
Dyson
It is
Daniels?
Jason
It is?
Daniels.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah,
I told Jared he has the other nickname, the Great Barrier Thief, and
I
that
like
is way
that.
better.
yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? The Outback what?
The
Outlier?
Outback outlier.
Ew, no.
I don't know who came up with these names, but they're so bad.
They're trash. I do need to shout out last one. Because I won't go on forever. The
Oh, you're
trolley problem.
Oh, I remember
Jesus.
this.
What the hell? Is this a current player?
Yes, it
This
was
is like a
some.
random player too, right? It's like
Uh,
I think I remember who it is, but it's like a random
It
player.
was like a Raptors bench guy or something.
is it?
I thought it was. Hold on.
It's not like Scotty Barnes for sure.
I thought it was a Grizzlies player.
Santi
Trolley.
Aldama.
Yeah,
Oh, what?
yeah,
He's
Grizzlies
the
player. Yeah,
trolley. What?
the trolley problem. Yeah.
Well, how does that make any sense for Santi Aldama?
Uh, who would
Just call
ever
him
say that?
Santa. Call him Santa.
There was
That's
Santi.
some
better. It's not
reason.
good.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not good. It's better.
It's also like
Call him all
when Jared was
dominant.
showing me these, I was like, I've never heard any of these. These are not real.
Yeah,
Like
no
somebody
one
just wrote
call.
these and like published an article for some reason. These aren't real nicknames that people
They did
use.
make me laugh, but
Yeah,
they're terrible.
there's not like I'm trying to if there's yeah, any names I hear during a broadcast, I hear Great Barrier Thief. I hear like the Dawn. I hear Luka Magic
But
all the
they're
time.
really pushing the Don back again in LA. They like tried it for a little bit on the Mavericks this first couple of years. Now they're trying really hard on the Lakers, and
I
it's still bad.
it's gonna go back. It's gonna be Luka Magic because like we have Magic
Magic's
Johnson, so
the
Luka
Magic
Magic
is good.
is Luka Magic's fine. It's better than the Dawn.
King
The Dawn,
James, that
Dawn.
one's easy.
King
AD,
James.
KD, these are simple, easy nicknames. Although KD also has Easy Money Sniper, but no one actually says that.
No, or the Slim Reaper.
Slim Reaper is a great nickname. I-
Durantula. This is some really good
Yeah.
ones.
Tarantula is kind of fun. I
yeah,
like that.
Tarantula is a good. Yeah, there's some players, Steph is like
beard.
chef. He
These
has a
are
chef thing going.
the beard for
Beard,
sure.
yeah, that's a good one.
Everyone knows who. I was actually at the Clippers game, and there was a guy who was doing like it was like the trivia, like, hey, if you can guess these three questions right, we'll give you like a free Clippers like big, like clothing and like all swag bag, whatever. And then one of the questions was like, yeah, who is like the leading like assist leader like on the whatever? And he said Beard. And I was like, who the fuck is Beard? And then she's like, you're right, the Beard, James Harden, the Beard. And I was like, oh. But like I would never just call it
Beard.
Beard.
The beard.
Do you think
So
that he
weird.
likes his beard, or do you think once they nicknamed him that, he was locked in?
I feel like he looks
I think
so
he likes
bad
it because
without it.
he looks weird without it.
Oh,
He
does
looks
he really?
strange.
I'll have to look that
Yeah.
up.
Beardless Harden looks funky. I don't like it.
Yeah, some people just need it. And I don't know if it needs to be that big, but
It is a little much
definitely is.
sometimes for sure. It
Oh
also
no!
I don't like
that's-
I don't like the
Wow.
cornrows. I think the cornrows and beard is a weird combo.
It is strange to be so loose down here and so tight up here. You
Yeah.
know?
That is a crazy out of context quote right there.
To be loose right here but tight up here. Oh man. Anyways, so Detroit Pistons, you excited for the playoffs?
Yeah, I think it's something I'll definitely text my dad about as it's happening.
Are you gonna go to the game? You gonna go to a game?
Fly to Detroit.
I wasn't willing to go to an $80 game that was 10 minutes from my house, so I don't think I'll be willing to go to Detroit or New York for a playoff.
Yeah,
game.
they played the Spurs at UT. And Jared and I talked about going,
Oh.
but it was like $45 for a ticket, and then it was like $18 of fees per ticket, and we were like, actually, never mind. And then Wimby was announced out with the blood clot, and then the tickets were still expensive. So
Is it the Moody Center or where?
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah.
I saw the UT basketball. It's kind of small, pretty small.
I think that's why the tickets were more expensive, I would imagine, because I feel
Yeah.
like when I've looked at college games for like big schools, like when I used to live down in Houston, I would look at U of H games because they
Yeah,
have been like pretty good for the last couple of years.
yeah,
The tickets are expensive because there's just so much limited capacity.
yeah. I mean, it was cool. Like, it is closer than a NBA basketball game. Like the cheapest Spurs seats. I mean, you've been there. It's like the cheapest seats that you would find at Moody Center are all closer for sure. But
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it's a cool place. It's a cool little place. It's right. It's
One
right
day.
where I used to live and work. As I used to work at the rec center right there. So
Oh, very cool.
I remember that.
Very
I
cool.
played basketball there.
yeah, you did. You came over, and Ryan did too. Shout out Ryan.
Shout out Ryan, probably. I don't know Ryan, but shout out for sure.
Shut him out anyways.
I'll always
Uh,
shout him out. Anyway, yeah, but yeah, dude, thanks for talking about the Pistons.
Yeah,
I've also been super excited watching the Pistons this year too.
it's a fun season. Give us your too soon 2025 NBA champion finals matchup,
Finals matchup.
and of course who wins.
Boy, do I
Maybe
not
we'll
know
bring
the
you
league
back
at
for
large.
the playoff bracket episode. That's always fun. I'm trying to think of the episodes we do. I don't know. I don't know. I don't do this
We just a
podcast.
couple.
Huh?
Yeah, we just do what feels right the week of.
For the East, for 2025, let's say Thunder in the West,
Okay.
and let's say Cavs in the East,
Okay.
and
Both one
let
seeds. All right.
Yeah, okay.
Huge.
I yes, I made a generic choice, but they're also relatively young, so I imagine they have sustainable success, not major injury questions with a lot of their stars. Looking at you, Mavericks.
Well, the
Um,
Mavericks are good. We just talked about before you got on how they're Kyrie tore his ACL, so
yeah,
they're
exactly. I'm
done.
not betting on that. So
Also, Damon, I think you're asking Jared for the who do you think is going to be the championship champion this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh, I
that's where
thought
we're
you
at.
meant like next year, like anticipate
It
what will
is
take place
No,
next
2025
year.
no.
currently.
Oh, that's true. That's um
This year.
but yeah, I mean I think that okay, you know what? Here's what I'll do then. I'll get a little cute. I'll say Thunder for sure, but I'll give it to, let's say the Celtics come out of the East.
Okay.
And let's say I think Cleveland needs one more year. And then let's say the Thunder take it in 6.
It's a fair take.
I actually was thinking Thunder Celtics
I
right
respect
now.
the take. Yeah. I mean, man, Jokic is so good. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know, man. I don't trust the supporting cast, but that's time. That's a different episode, man.
Jared, are you ready to watch the shot that I haven't made in 65 episodes in a row? A shot that I
Yes.
made in like episode 4 and 6,
Dude,
and then
and I was
never
like
since then.
when I remember guessing you're gonna make it episode 25 and you made it in like episode 6 and 7 and I was like, "Oh man." And now you haven't made it since.
Haven't made it since. It's rough out here.
Yeah.
Let's see. I usually,
All
I
right.
do some sort of like lineup process for this that never works because I'm looking
Just take
at
the
my
shot.
camera.
Just
Man,
take
I'm
the
trying to
shot.
make the shot. I'm not just trying to take the shot. I'm trying to make the shot.
Hey, you miss all the
I
shots
hit
you
my
don't
foam
take.
finger.
It's okay. It came right back to you.
It does. It did. It always does.
It does,
Oh,
it did. Hey, and a swish.
That's right, baby. Jared, I'm going to give you courtesy this episode of ending with buckets because you're a first guest. So, Dom is going to say something like, "Thanks for listening. Like, comment, subscribe. This has been the name of the pod." Maybe he'll include your name this time, and then you could say buckets, and that'll be it.
yeah. Thank you for having me on, by the way. I wanted to get a chance to say that before we logged off. This was
No.
so much fun, and I
Ah.
appreciated it. And I will get my voice as low as possible to honor your delivery of the word.
You can do it however you want.
Hey, you're your own. Hey, don't be a follower, be a leader.
Be a
Choose
leader.
what you want. Choose what you want to be. But yeah, thank you for joining us. Also, it was great talking to you about the Pistons
It's a lot of fun.
and all Detroit sports. And you knew I give you a lot of credit. You knew a lot more than I thought you would because I don't trust myself and I reflect that on others.
Sounds
So
really like it would be really hard for the Lakers because it's like, who's the last three of their 262 players that have been All-Stars?
LeBron. There we go. Done.
Great.
Anywho, but yeah, thanks again, Jared, for joining us,
Yes,
and
thank you.
everyone who listened to this all the way through. We greatly appreciate you, and appreciate you listening to this and sharing it, telling your friends. This has been Two Man Game with Damon and Dom, and our special guest Jared Bing. I'm gonna throw that on there because I think it's fun. But yeah, thanks again for listening to Two Man Game.
Buckets.